was The Shadow, Jack Benny, The Lone Ranger, Dragnet, Gunsmoke, and many more. We have them for you on Hollywood 360.
We'll also present trivia contests with prizes, showbiz news, celebrity interviews, games, and movie reviews.
So don't miss Hollywood 360 every Saturday night beginning at 8 p.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
It's 5:10 on AM 560 on this Monday morning. Let's get an update on the roads in the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, a service of Lowe's. Right now, get the new Klein 3-piece ModBox mobile workstation exclusively at Lowe's for just $319.94 because Lowe's knows tools and Lowe's knows pros. And if you can fit that into a Christmas stocking, that would be a really good idea for the carpenter near you. We're watching the Stevenson this morning. Big problems on the outbound side. It is shut down right at Central. In fact, you're being diverted off at Central due to a bad accident beyond that involving a semi that has shut down the entire expressway. That's the Stevenson outbound this morning. You're being diverted off at Central. Otherwise, we're off and on time. Light delays are in Will County this morning on I-80 westbound side between Briggs and Richard. That is ongoing construction. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy starts next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Andy Robb.
Cloudy skies for today. You'll see a shower in spots in the afternoon, high 64. Following a shower, clouds tonight, low 58. Clouds and sunshine. Breezy Tuesday, high 78 and a high 70 for Wednesday. I'm Andy Robb on AM 560, The Answer.
44 at O'Hare, 46 Lakefront, 43 Midway, 39 in Aurora, and 38 in Wheeling. Your next news update is at 5:30. Chicago's Morning Answer starts next on AM 560, The Answer.
Do you want your child to come back from school hating God, America, and you? If the answer is no, the solution is St. John's Lutheran School in Lombard. I am the man, Cal. Look, I'm a Christian guy with 2 daughters out in this world, and it can get very scary. St. John's Lutheran School Lombard is the only school in all of Illinois that offers the Hillsdale College curriculum for kindergarten through 8th grade. It's a game changer, a nurturing environment with a Christian faith, traditional values, and critical thinking that teaches kids to think for themselves, not what to think. What a great thing to do for your child or grandchild. Strong academics with the Hillsdale curriculum and strong character. Go to stjohnslombard.com. That's Saint, S-T, johnslombard.com. stjohnslombard.com. It's in Lombard, Glen Ellen, Wheaton, Downers Grove, and all places nearby. stjohnslombard.com.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, Doctors Economos, Gavalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidisciplined practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology, such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930. That's 630-830-4930. Or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
When your home or business has an insurance claim, the next step is very important. The claim process with insurance can be tedious, hard to understand, and difficult to navigate. You need someone working for you. You need a licensed claim adjuster. Why? The insurance company will send out their inspectors that work for them, get paid by them, and represent them, not you.
This is Dan Lights from Crosscom. We inspect your property, file your claim, negotiate the damages, and maximize your settlement with your insurance company. If we complete the repairs approved by your insurance company, our service is free. Crosscom Public Adjusters has turned denied claims into approved claims. We've also increased insurance claims anywhere from 23 to 1,000%. We are licensed by the Department of Insurance and work in Illinois, Northwest Indiana, and Southern Wisconsin. Crosscom Public Adjusters, 630-871-5500. Online at CrosscomInc.com. That's CrosscomInc.com. Crosscom, building trust for over 20 years.
Have you been struggling to find an easy, safe, and secure document scanning solution for Salesforce.com, Microsoft 365, SharePoint, or OnBase by Highland? Your struggle is now over, and it's time to get your documents and operations into the 21st century. With IoT Smart Connected Scanning, it's easy to turn physical paper into digital documents and have them directly uploaded to the cloud with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. And you don't need a degree in computing or IT to make it happen. Using QR code technology uniquely configured for your specific business, anyone can set the IoT Smart Connected Scanning device up in 5 minutes or less, saving your organization money and valuable time. Remote employees can even capture documents and send them safely and seamlessly. Organize documents efficiently and securely with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. To see a demo or to order now, go to ready4idt.com. That's ready4idt.com. Use promo code SMART and receive 10% off your order. IDT, putting paper in its place.
When you're serious about your concealed carry training and education and are ready to learn from an active police officer with a teaching degree, check out Illinois Concealed Carry Training in Midlothian. You'll learn safe, responsible firearm use, home defense planning, conflict avoidance, situational awareness, and how to remain physically, morally, and financially safe in the event you must use your firearm in self-defense or the defense of another. Weekday and weekend classes available.
I'm Sergeant Gary Carr, police firearms trainer and the owner of Illinois Concealed Carry Training. We'll arm you with what really counts: knowledge and training. All concealed carry curriculums are not created equal. This may be the single most important decision you'll ever make for yourself and your loved ones. Choose between 3 and 16-hour classes that are available both weekdays and weekends. We are your one-stop for concealed carry classes, fingerprints, and legal defense plans.
Register for a class today and get 10% off class fees with promo code AM560. Visit IllinoisConcealedCarry.com. That's IllinoisConcealedCarry.com.
It seems like everyone is on a complicated diet these days. Gluten-free, keto, metabolic, sugar-free. And with these diets comes special dietary protocol and food products. You can find plenty of advice on your social media sites, but you need expertise to purchase the right food items. A visit to Lil's Dietary Specialty Shop is necessary to shop the best food choices for a medical diet or health plan. Lil's Dietary Specialty Shop stocks all the hard-to-find foods you're looking for, like wheat and dairy alternatives, sugar-free baking mixes, healthy snacks, and more. There's no longer a reason to put off that diet you're supposed to be on when you have Lil's. The staff has personally researched and vetted each item in the store and has plenty of choices in stock.
Lil's Dietary Specialty Shop on 111th Street in Mount Greenwood on the south side of Chicago. Stop in and shop in person or order online at lilsdietary.com and get your items shipped right to your home. lilsdietary.com. Shop, learn, and be healthy.
When you're in the market to buy or sell a home, commercial property, or even vacant land, let attorney Susan J. Kim step in. She's reliable, responsive, personable, and extremely thorough when helping you deal with an otherwise stressful transaction. Attorney Kim leads with her values and is committed to providing legal services with excellence. To contact Attorney Kim, visit sjkimlaw.com. That's sjkimlaw.com. Whether it's drafting agreements, negotiating contract terms, or closing on a property, Attorney Susan J. Kim can do it all. Over 10 years of experience and her wealth of knowledge tackling complicated legal negotiations and breaking them down into a smooth, easy-to-understand process is what she does best. So let attorney Susan J. Kim step in. To schedule your legal consultation today, visit sjkimlaw.com. That's sjkimlaw.com or call 847-906-3166. Susan J. Kim Attorney at Law is a state of Illinois licensed real estate attorney.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
This hourly segment is sponsored by Protecting Your Assets with Steve Shyman. Listen Saturday mornings at 8. Learn more at willsave.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. There was some positive news over the weekend with respect to U.S. hostages, as you've no doubt heard by now, which is that Evanston residents Judith and Natalie Ronan were released by Hamas over the weekend and appear to be in good health, and they're on their way back home. Natalie is a recent Deerfield High School grad. Judith is a 59-year-old esthetician in Evanston who is a community member of the Chabad House there. Dov Hillel Klein, who I know actually. That's a conservative faith community, interestingly, that's being underreported. They had a call with POTUS upon their release, and it went like this.
Hey, Judith.
Hello, President.
I'm so glad you're home. I'm not home. I'm glad you're out.
Thank you so very, very much.
Hey, Nat, how are you? God love you.
I just want to say thank you for your services for Israel.
Well, I look, that's been long serving. I'm just delighted we're able to get you out. We've been working on it a long time. We're gonna get them all out, God willing. I just want to say, I hope you're both not only feeling good, but in good health as well.
Yes, sir. Yes, we are. And thank you very much. God bless you.
Well, God bless you guys.
So that's excellent news, although they were quick to add, or maybe it was the father who mentioned it, that they still have 8 relatives in Gaza, so there's still a great concern there.
And we still have 10 Americans that are being held hostage that we need to get out. So
Yes.
it was baby steps, but still, I mean, it's something. I was surprised. They were handed over to the Red Cross there in the middle of the night, and she just looked, the daughter, the Deerfield grad, looked so, like, just shell-shocked, like sunken eyes. And then went later, she looked better, but Lord knows what they went through. We don't know.
This was supposedly brokered by Qatar. We don't know exactly why they were released, but we know why they weren't. This is an odd twist in this story.
Yeah.
Something else that's been underreported. They had to issue a statement in response to claims from Black Lives Matter grifter Sean King that he played a part in getting them released.
Sean King?
That's what he claimed. This is their statement. The Renans had released a statement. Today we came across bizarre posts on the Instagram page of one Sean King, who turns out to have millions of followers, who claims that our relative, Natalie Ronan, supports the anti-Israeli message he uploads to his page. First and foremost, we make it clear that he is lying. Our family does not and did not have anything to do with him, neither directly or indirectly, not to him and not to anything he claims to represent. Natalie told us this morning it was the first time in her life she came across Sean King's name in his post after she finally got a phone call after 2 horrific weeks in captivity in Gaza and was looking for what was written about her while she was away. Sean King is trying to catch a ride on the great exposure that her kidnapping received all over the world, and in the U.S. in particular. And the most ridiculous thing is that Natalie and her mother Judith are very active in Rabbi Heck's Jewish community in Chicago and the Chabad House, and if Sean King knew them or their family, he would know that. We ask not to be quick on the keyboard and share things without checking them in depth, mainly not to believe people who speak for others. The damage that the sharing of these lies does is so huge, and the effort of our family and all the families of the abductees should be focused on bringing them home and not fighting the lies that are being spread like wildfire.
Was Rachel Dolezal going to be next? I mean, what is going on here?
There's
this crazy.
This idea that somebody from the Renan family reached out to Sean King to reach out to whoever his Palestinian connects were, and then he was trying to intercede here. I mean, I'm sure that Sean King, being the race grifter he is here, probably has race grifters in other parts of the world. That wouldn't surprise me, but just a bizarre turn there. Anyway, I just thought I'd add that because, of course, you can't escape the identitarian politics of our age, and the Renans, even of captivity, couldn't escape it. It just is startling, frankly. But something else, too, about the hostages that you mentioned. The posture of this government, the posture of the Biden administration. I know he's had a nice moment where he gets to take credit for the return of the Renans, and we're glad that they've been returned safely. But Mike Pence had something to say about this, actually, on Meet the Press over the weekend, about the posture of the Biden administration when it comes to American hostages, what Biden is doing versus what he would do. Take a listen.
Listen, we've got Americans being held by bloodthirsty terrorists in Gaza. And if I was president of the United States, I would have directed the Joint Special Operations Command to stand up Delta Force, to stand up the Navy SEALs, who do the best hostage rescue in the world, and say you need to work with IDF, and we need to tell Hamas you've got 12 hours to turn American and Israeli hostages loose, or we're coming to get them. I mean, this. Look, I welcome the release of 2 American hostages this week. I'm grateful for that. But going hand in hand to Qatar and standing by while Hamas decides whether they're going to release another hostage is totally unaccepted. We are the leader of the free world. We are Israel's strongest ally on the planet. We need to send a message to Hamas that you need to turn those hostages back over, or you'll answer not just to Israeli Defense Forces, but you'll answer to the United States Armed Forces.
312.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, what do you think?
I'm sorry, Dan. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment. I like Mike Pence's approach, don't you?
Yeah, I'm respectful of Shin Bet, Israel's National Security Service, and the tactical units there standing up to get after Hamas terrorists and to engage in whatever ways possible to get hostages, Israeli and American and otherwise, released. But I'm a little curious about our passive role in this too. It's not a lack of faith in Israel. It's a question of we have these resources. As Pence said, our guys are the best in the world. Why wouldn't we use them? And something else Christopher Wray said, too, on 60 Minutes last night, this Five Eyes sit-down with Scott Pelley that we'll get to. But just on this specifically, on the remaining hostages, American hostages in Gaza, this is, your FBI director, Chris Wray.
We're going to work closely with our partners, our Israeli partners, our U.S. embassy partners, the whole U.S. government, to do whatever we can to ensure that those hostages come out safe. But make no mistake, this is a dangerous time.
Yeah, we got that.
Come on.
He said well, first of all, it's not his call, and the FBI's domestic law enforcement. They have an intel component, domestic law enforcement. So it's not that I'm waiting for Chris Wray to do anything. But it speaks to what Mike Pence is saying and what our understanding is of what this administration's posture is, which is a passive one. Christopher Wray, we're going to work with, not we're working with.
Right.
So do we have all hands on deck to leverage America's resources to get Americans back? I mean, to Pence's point, the idea of you have 12 hours. Otherwise, we're sending in Liam Neeson and everybody else. I think, yeah.
And Delta Force is already there. Biden released a picture of them like an idiot instead of hiding their faces on social media, which they eventually took down. But, yeah, I would go with that route for sure. Now, who are these other 10 that are still missing? We don't really know a lot about them.
We know some of them, including some that have a connection to Chicago. A young man named Hirsch Goldberg Poland is one of 5 hostages with Illinois connections. His parents now live in Jerusalem, but they're from Chicago. He grew up in West Rogers Park in Skokie. He, and apparently, too, I don't know how they know this, but it's been reported that this young man who's 23 years old, his left arm was blown off in a bunker before he was taken. He's been missing since. His condition is unknown. And so, there's another example of somebody like, obviously some of this needs to be, much of this needs to be done below public disclosure. I get that. But, just what is the posture of the administration in terms of the resources we're going to use We certainly want to work in collaboration, but I don't think we should be deferential to the Israelis when it's American lives on the line. That was the point that Mike Pence made, and I think it's a salient one. All right, coming up at 5:38, we'll continue this discussion and fold in some more of what Christopher Wray and the other spy chiefs from the Five Eyes Consortium had to say on 60 Minutes, 5:38.
So goofy. All right, but now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott. Good morning, Mike.
44 degrees at 5:31. A person killed in a crash this morning along the Stevenson Expressway. It happened right around 2 a.m. in the outbound lanes of the Stevenson, just south of Harlem Avenue. All lanes of the expressway are shut down between Central and Harlem right now. Traffic diverted off at Central. Israel's military is again urging Palestinian civilians to leave northern Gaza to avoid being caught up in expected fighting there. During a Sunday briefing, senior IDF officials warned that those who remain are risking their lives. The U.S. is increasing its military presence in the Middle East as war rages on between Israel and Hamas.
If any group or any country is looking to widen this conflict and take advantage of this very unfortunate situation that we see, our advice is don't.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken says Israel cannot let Hamas stay in a position to launch attacks.
Israel has both the right and even the obligation not only to defend itself, but to try to make sure that, to the best of its ability, this can't happen again.
And in this country, Detroit police say the stabbing death of the president of a local synagogue was not apparently linked to any anti-Semitism or terror message. Police say Samantha Wool was found stabbed multiple times Saturday morning. Wool was president of the Isaac Agri downtown Detroit synagogue and a former staffer for two Michigan Democrat politicians. House Republicans are set to meet tonight in their latest effort to find a speaker. Former Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy is backing House Majority Whip Tom Emmer to take the gavel.
We got a wide open southern border. We got crushing inflation. We got war in the Middle East. This is not a moment in time to play around with learning on the job.
Speaking on NBC's Meet the Press, after multiple failed attempts by Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan to win the gavel, lawmakers again will hold the gavel tonight. There are a number of Republican candidates. The manhunt continues for a suspect accused of shooting two Tennessee police officers. Police in Laverne say both officers are in stable but serious condition after being shot Saturday afternoon investigating a stolen vehicle. The shooting took place as the estranged son of Nashville's police chief was heavily involved. Rookie backup Tyson Bagent led the Bears to a 30-12 win over the Raiders at Soldier Field. Bagent, in his first NFL start, drew rave reviews from Bears left guard Tevin Jenkins.
He tells us how many seconds in the play clock. I mean, he's good at changing up the cadences. That was very good of him. I was very impressed by how he kept on changing cadences and everybody on top of it. So I feel like he was really good back there.
Bears have won 2 of 3 to improve to 2-5 and visit the Chargers next. Cook County Sheriff's Office is expected to announce a record number of human trafficking-related charges this afternoon. Sheriff Tom Dart says the charges are the result of efforts by the Vice and Internet Crimes Against Children units this month. 2 Waukegan men are in custody. One allegedly threw a bottle at a sheriff's deputy. Another tried to punch an officer as authorities broke up a large party early Sunday morning in Round Lake. Deputy Chief Chris Cavelli says Ramon Basurto allegedly threw that beer bottle. Another man, Jarvian Allen, attempted to punch a Round Lake police sergeant before running away. As he was transported to jail, Allen then threatened to go to one of the deputies' homes and murder his family. Both men remain held in the Lake County Jail. Chicago sports, ALCS heading to Game 7 tonight in Houston. Rangers beat the Astros in Game 6, 9-2. In Philadelphia, the Phillies will try to punch their ticket to the World Series tonight. Phils square off against the D-backs. Over the weekend, the Blackhawks lost to Vegas 5-3. The Bulls getting set to open the regular NBA season against OKC on Wednesday. The news service of MyPillow. Big news. MyPillow 6-pack bath towel sets are back in stock. Extremely absorbent, but that soft feel you need for a towel. For a limited time, 50% savings with promo code LIBERTY. And a check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher says no more Mr. Nice Guy.
See, these establishment people sit around and they say, come on, Republicans, go back to being nice again. Stop fighting so much. We got to be nice. Days of nice are gone. The days of nice are over. All bets are off. And I'm hoping they get their act together.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Commercial and industrial HVAC system replacements demand the best in the business, and R.J. Ullman Company's team of skilled tradesmen are the best in the business. Their specialty is full-service commercial HVAC, and they'll get your job done right with sheet metal ductwork and fittings designed and built by their in-house fab shop to give you customized quality and speed. Made in the USA. R.J. Ullman Company is a family-owned fourth-generation commercial and institutional union HVAC contracting company located in Glenview. That's been built on trust and dedication, serving the Chicagoland area since 1972. Contact R.J. Ullman Company for quality and quick turnaround commercial HVAC projects. Need a rooftop unit replaced? They pride themselves on being able to change out most units in just one day. Customized ductwork and fitting orders can be placed in the morning and arrive on the job site the very next day. Remember, their work is not complete until you're 100% satisfied. Go to rjullman.com. That's RJOLMEN.com.
Do you want your child to come back from school hating God, America, and you? If the answer is no, the solution is St. John's Lutheran School in Lombard. I am the man, Cal. Look, I'm a Christian guy with 2 daughters out in this world, and it can get very scary. St. John's Lutheran School Lombard is the only school in all of Illinois that offers the Hillsdale College curriculum for kindergarten through 8th grade. It's a game changer. A nurturing environment with a Christian faith, traditional values, and critical thinking that teaches kids to think for themselves, not what to think. What a great thing to do for your child or grandchild. Strong academics with the Hillsdale curriculum and strong character. Go to stjohnslombard.com. That's Saint, S-T, johnslombard.com. stjohnslombard.com. It's in Lombard, Glen Ellen, Wheaton, Downers Grove, and all places nearby. stjohnslombard.com.
Exergen thermometers are a top choice of medical professionals at highly ranked hospitals across the U.S. Accuracy matters, so make Exergen the chosen thermometer for your home and family.
5:38. Let's get an update on the roads this early morning. On a Monday, Team Hochberg Traffic Center Time, a service of Turnkey.pro. With decades of C-suite experience, Turnkey knows small business. Their team of veteran consultants knows how to reduce cost and grow new revenue streams, all without having to hire on-site professionals. Visit Turnkey.pro, Turnkey.pro. Kennedy inbound 25, O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike on the inbound side, already 30 minutes from 390 into the old post office. On the inbound side of the Stevenson, you have gapers to an outbound accident between First Avenue and Central. Outbound, the entire expressway, westbound, outbound on the Stevenson is shut down. As you get to Central, you're being diverted off because of a fatal crash involving a semi. Again, traffic being diverted off on the outbound Stevenson at Central. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Cloudy most of the day with shower in spots by the afternoon and a high of 64. A passing evening shower, otherwise cloudy and mild, low 58. Tomorrow, clouds and sunshine, almost summer-like, with a high of 78. 44 at O'Hare, 46 along the lakefront, 43 Midway, 39 Aurora, and your next news update is at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas Coffee, a family tradition since 1897. Online at papanicholas.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We're talking about the American hostages released, the Renans, over the weekend, and those that are still in captivity and what the United States government is doing about it exactly.
And Dan, you mentioned the Chabad House. What's your affiliation with them, or how are you?
Campus for Northwestern. I met Dov Hillel Klein a million years ago when I was an undergrad, and thereafter because of conservative Jewish friends, and so that's how I know about it, and I know him.
Okay.
So in addition to the hostages, those who were fortunate enough to survive and not be taken hostage, a Long Island native, a 28-year-old woman named Natalie Sanandaji, she escaped during the throes of the attack. She was at the music festival. She escaped with some of her friends. And she described what the situation was like. And also, too, I mean, just to put yourself in the place of people who live in that part of the world and what they've been conditioned to accept. It was really interesting to hear her perspective.
I was the only American, so I looked to everyone else to see their reaction, to see how I should react. And one of the girls came to me, she was like, it's okay, because of the area we're in, this happens sometimes, maybe it'll just be a few, it's gonna pass, maybe the party will continue. I don't think anywhere else in the world you would have rockets intercepting over your head at a party and you would think, oh, it's gonna pass, it'll be fine. So because of the fact that they grow up in war, that they're used to this, that this is something that they've all seen before, not to this extent, obviously, but they've had rockets been intercepted over their heads before, they've gone into bomb shelters. Because of that, it took us much longer to realize the severity of the situation. In any other country, these kids would have ran for their lives as soon as they saw that.
She went on to describe, once they finally appreciated what was going on, how they escaped and how random it was, because they were running for their lives, but they didn't know if they were running in the right direction or the wrong one.
Kids were running in all directions. Nobody knew what direction was the direction of safety. Every decision you made had to be a split-second decision that could have either saved you or gotten you killed. At a certain point, we passed this ditch, and a bunch of kids were hiding in this ditch, and me and my friends contemplated getting inside the ditch as well and hiding from the gunmen. And then my friend said, don't do it. If they come and they see us in the ditch and they're above us, we have nowhere to run. Right. We kept running, and we later found out that all the kids who stayed are no longer with us.
And she went on to say a few other things to the New York Post after that sit-down with Fox. A lot of people have asked if I'm scared to go back to Israel after everything that's happened. My honest answer is, now more than ever, I want to move to Israel. Even with everything going on, I feel safer there than I do in the U.S. right now. Talking about what she is seeing in terms of anti-Semitism, well, certainly in the streets of Manhattan and London and Chicago and around the world. She said it's the first time in her life that she started to get hate for her faith. There's people in Europe drawing Jewish stars on people's doors if they know it's a Jewish home. In addition to, of course, what we've heard and seen with the chanting on the streets of big cities and, of course, on college campuses.
And did you see what the CTU did? Love the Chicago Teachers Union. they were tweeting out locations to go to to join the pro-Palestinians in stopping this Solidarity with Israel rally that they had yesterday in Lincolnwood. Yeah, so wonder if the CPS employees understand that CTU is supporting pro-Israel. I mean, sorry, pro-Palestinian, and looks like Hamas terrorists that they're supporting.
In London, there were this campaign against anti-Semitism. They were driving around the streets of London, the main thoroughfares, with billboard vans that featured the names and images of children kidnapped by Hamas in Gaza. And they were stopped by police.
Oh, my God.
Here is a gentleman associated with the campaign against anti-Semitism describing what happened.
I've just had one of the most disturbing experiences in 9 years of campaign against anti-Semitism. We've got billboard vans which have been driving around London showing the faces of the children kidnapped by Hamas with the call to bring them home. That's all that's on the billboard vans. They were out this evening shooting video of the vans passing various landmarks, and right in front of Big Ben, I got a call from the volunteers who were shooting the pictures, really shaken up. They'd been stopped by protesters. And then police had turned up and told them to turn off the billboards and clear out of central London, otherwise there would be, quote, a breach of the peace. And I was just astonished by this. How on earth could the police stop people in central London, in our capital, from showing the pictures of children kidnapped by a terrorist organisation banned by our government? How could they possibly do that? How could they turn on the victims of terror? And so I went down to have a look and try the route again. And sure enough, the police turned up and told us for our own safety that we couldn't show the billboards. Not only that, what they did is they asked me to step across the road with them for my own safety, supposedly, so that I didn't get hit by a cyclist. They then instructed the drivers to turn off the billboards and to clear the area. And they wouldn't let me cross back over to listen to the conversation or talk to our own drivers. They actually physically restrained me from trying to speak to the drivers or hear the conversation because they said they were worried about me crossing the road. That's what it's come down to in central London. The question I ask you when you watch this footage is, who are the police protecting? The victims of terrorism? The Jewish community? Or is it the sensibilities of people who sympathise with terrorists who are banned by our country?
It's a rhetorical question, I presume. Here was the interaction that guy had with police just to substantiate his characterization of what occurred.
Why have you told him to turn it off? Excuse me, why has the guy been told to turn off why has he been told to turn it off? On what legal basis has he been asked to do that? Yeah.
Sir,
okay.
I don't want you to get run over by
Okay,
car.
you're holding me back, and
No,
you're
I'm stopping
telling
you from walking
you've
in.
just told
Sir,
him to turn that off. You've just told him to turn that off.
Obviously, we're on high vis.
Why are the
You
police
can talk
holding
to
me
them.
back
You
and
can
telling
talk
them
to
to
them.
turn the
You
vans
can
off?
talk to them
Why are they
in a
doing
second.
that?
You can talk to them in a second.
Okay, why have they just been... I'd like to speak to the person who's giving instructions. No, excuse me. Why are you holding... Okay, someone is giving instructions to turn off our vans. They're private property. They're entitled to do what they're doing.
Yeah.
Why are they being told to do that?
They are entitled to, but
Yeah.
at the same time, we want to make sure that they're safe, their property is safe, and what we don't want to do is have people coming this way and doing any damage to their vans.
Right, so if they're happy to drive around London, which they were until you pulled them over and stopped them,
We haven't
and
pulled them over.
you told them to stop. Look, there's a police officer there who's told
We've
them
asked
to
them
stop.
to move into a different place.
They're entitled to do it, the police concede, but we don't want to incite Hamas sympathizers to vandalize the vans. I see. So your rights, I mean, it's a little bit different in the UK, but it's the same principle that applies. Sure, you're entitled to the full complement of your rights unless somebody is triggered by your expression, for example, your legal expression. that might put you in jeopardy, then what we're going to do in response to that is shut you up. That's the philosophy of the safety state.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You can also text us all morning long at our turnkey.pro text line, 64636. Type in DA, then a quick comment.
And to that Long Island, that woman from Long Island who you heard in terms of her escape from that massacre at the concert, saying it, this first time she's been feeling hate for her faith, and she feels safer in Israel than she does in New York City, which is just a stunning comment.
I know.
There's a good piece in the Journal over the weekend by Shani Moore, who is a professor at university in Israel, about how the atrocities bring more hate. You would think, these atrocities, and people would be empathetic to the Jewish people, certainly the victims. They would be less defiant in their enabling and empathizing or sympathizing with Hamas. They would be more muted in their criticism of the Israelis, particularly those that did nothing other than go to a concert. Innocents that are, children and so forth. You might think that, but then you wouldn't understand the sort of ideological makeup of the identitarian left. I mean, this whole thing to me is a real exercise in the destructiveness of identitarian politics. He writes in his piece, in response to October 7th, many in the West have accused Israel of being a genocidal nation. The Washington Post, Karen Attiah, the U.S. cannot stand by as Israeli officials engage in genocidal language and describe genocidal intent against Palestinians for the actions of Hamas. The UK's Guardian published at least 3 opinion pieces this week warning the same. Hundreds of international law scholars from around the world signed a statement reporting they'd found signs in Israel that warn of a potential genocide in Gaza. In one respect, this response is transparent projection, he writes. Hamas's charter explicitly calls for the destruction of Jews in Israel. By kidnapping, raping, and slaughtering innocent civilians, the terrorist group gives every indication that it believes what it says. Yet its sympathizers in the West aren't merely projecting. Their behavior is an example of cognitive dissonance reduction. Cognitive dissonance reduction, the process by which people reconcile new information that contradicts their firmly held priors. Western activists for Palestinians are dedicated to 2 nearly theological precepts. Israel is evil, and no Palestinian action is ever connected to any Palestinian outcome. You could apply that in a racial context in this country, couldn't you? You sure could. The cognitive trap expresses itself in how Israel's opponents in the West speak about the conflict with the Palestinians. Concern that time is running out for reaching a 2-state solution never leads to calls for the Palestinians to hurry up and accept a negotiated compromise. They ignore Palestinians' rejected statehood and peace in 2000, 2001, 2008, 2014. They ignore that Hamas's belligerence is the cause of the Israeli blockade of Gaza, which is a defensive measure. The terrorist atrocities don't trigger recoiling from the cause in whose name they were carried out. They lead to an even greater revulsion at the victim. Why? Because we have to make those we oppose as evil as those we support, at least as evil, if not more so. This was a terrorist attack. They're a genocidal apartheid state. You see how it works? You think that they're going to be coward? They're going to walk back some of their mindless identitarianism? No. Over the top. Over the top. They need to continue to justify their advocacy, not reconsider it. Such a great example of the poison, the intellectual poison you're dealing with running through the veins of these identitarian leftists. There was a great moment on BBC with Douglas Murray, who is just whip smart. And the BBC news presenter does the normal thing, which is after this terrorist attack, amid a long history of terrorist attacks, we've been here before at the hands of Hamas and other Islamo-fascist terrorist organizations against Israel and the West. We have to focus on, is the response proportional? Is the response? We have to make sure the rules of war apply to Israel. This is the entire focus of the news media's, of the Western media's coverage of this in terms of the war dynamic. Well, a proportional is what you want? Okay, well, here's what proportional is. Take a listen.
There's no electricity, there's no running water, there is no food going in, there are no other fuel supplies going in. Is that, and while raining down missiles on buildings which they know are going to kill civilians, is that a reasonable, proportionate and moral response by Israel?
There is some deep perversion in Britain whenever Israel is involved in a conflict, and it is the word you just used, proportion. I've heard it for the last few days incessantly. Proportionality in conflict rarely exists. But if we were to decide that we should have this fetish about proportionality, then that would mean that in retaliation for what Hamas did in Israel on Saturday, Israel should try to locate a music festival in Gaza, for instance, and good luck with that. Should try to find a music festival in Gaza and rape precisely the number of women that Hamas raped on Saturday. Kill precisely the number of young people that Hamas killed on Saturday. They should find a town of exactly the same size as a town like Sderot, where I've been many times myself, and make sure they go to door and kill precisely the correct number of babies that Hamas killed in Sderot on Saturday, and shoot in the head precisely the same number of old age pensioners as were shot in Sderot on Saturday, just to choose one town. Proportionality in conflict is a joke.
Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
I'm attorney Stephen Leahy. You may have heard me on the radio sharing information about taxes, the IRS, or some other legal topic. Over these many years, I've learned quite a lot about helping business owners. It's pretty complicated out there. Business owners must always be learning just to keep up. So I've put together an email newsletter where I share information with business owners for free. That's right, no charge. All you have to do is go to radiotaxman.com and provide your email address. That's it. You may wonder why I would do that. Well, I know business owners are going to need help now and again. Tax returns, IRS trouble, business structuring, tax planning, and a whole lot more. I also know that if I share accurate, important information with you, information you can trust, you may give me an opportunity to help you. That's it. You don't have to ask for my help, but I want to offer it to you. Pretty simple. Go to radiotaxman.com right now and sign up for my email newsletter. That's radiotaxman.com. It's free. Together we can fight back now.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 6:06, the real problem with public safety in Chicago is political extremism on the force at 6:06.
But now into the newsroom we go. Here is Mike Scott.
The governor to speak at an Arab American Bar Association event coming up today at 11 o'clock. First students awarded scholarships named for a fallen CPD officer. Veto session begins this week in Springfield. Rookie Tyson Bagent leads the Bears to their first home win. Blackhawks over the weekend collapsed in the third period, and the Bulls open up the regular NBA season on Wednesday. A cloudy day ahead with a shower in spots and a high of 64 degrees. WIND Chicago News Time, 6 o'clock.
More airstrikes, more aid. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. The Israeli military reports hitting 320 targets in Gaza overnight. A third aid convoy is on its way in for Palestinian civilians. The United Nations aid chief says it's not much, but a glimmer of hope. A bipartisan group of 10 senators is in Israel.
South Carolina Republican Lindsey Graham said in Israel the Hamas attack was Iran's doing, and the U.S. cannot allow Iran to succeed.
For Iran to fail, Israel must destroy Hamas. For Iran to fail, the Palestinians must have a better life.
Connecticut Democrat Richard Blumenthal added Iran should think carefully about its next step.
If you're thinking about giving the green light to Hezbollah, as you did to Hamas, don't.
Gernal Scott, Fox News.
Police in Detroit say they found no evidence that a 40-year-old synagogue president was stabbed to death because she was Jewish, saying they have no known motive and no suspects were identified. Samantha Walls described her at her funeral as a kind, caring, compassionate, sincere, loving, and tenacious woman of faith.
This was not an opinion. This was a fact.
Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel. Samantha Wall was 40 years old. House Republicans are starting from scratch, trying to elect a new House Speaker. Kevin McCarthy was voted out nearly 3 weeks ago. Steve Scalise dropped out before any votes on the House floor, and Jim Jordan couldn't get enough votes to win. Now, 9 Republicans have put themselves out there as candidates.
Tonight will yet again be another candidate forum for House Republicans as the party tries to pick its 4th nominee for Speaker of the House this year. The Speaker pro tem, Patrick McHenry, hopes to have a floor vote Tuesday. Whatever candidate wins can only afford to lose a few Republican votes if Democrats all vote for their party's nominee because of the slim GOP majority in the House. On Capitol Hill, Ryan Schmelz, Fox News.
Chevron is buying one of its smaller rival oil companies, Hess, for $53 billion. America's listening to Fox News.
44 degrees at 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A person killed in a crash on the Stevenson Expressway this morning. Illinois State Police confirmed the crash occurred about 2 a.m. in the outbound lanes of the Stevenson, just south of Harlem Avenue. All lanes of the expressway were shut down between Central and Harlem, and traffic was diverted off at Central for several hours. As the Israel-Hamas war ends its 3rd week, Governor J.B. Pritzker today is expected to join the Arab American Bar Association at an event condemning, quote, hate and violence, end quote. The event is scheduled to take place at 11 this morning at the Chicago Bar Association. You may recall earlier this month, the governor spoke at an Israeli solidarity gathering at a synagogue in Glencoe. The long captivity for an Evanston mother and daughter taken by Hamas during its deadly terror attack on Israel has come to an end. Israeli Defense Forces confirmed the two were released to the Red Cross, and Judith Renan and her 17-year-old daughter Natalie have been reunited with family in Israel. As the conflict between Israel and Hamas rages on, 6 Chicago area synagogues have joined together to donate an ambulance to Magen David Odom, or the MDA, the Emergency Medical Service Agency in Israel.
When we started this last year, we were hopeful that it would be used for things like taking pregnant women to the hospital.
As Rabbi Ike Serrata, the ambulance was on display during a dedication that occurred in Highland Park on Sunday. Rookie Tyson Bagent, the backup quarterback, led the Bears to a 30-12 win over the Raiders at Soldier Field. Chicago running back Deontay Foreman also ran all over the Vegas defense. 89 on the ground and a pair of scores while nabbing 3 through the air for 31 yards and another touchdown.
And I'm just trying to continue to be the best I could be and continue to just grow as a football player and as a person and just continue to dominate when I get my opportunities.
Bears have won 2 of 3 to improve to 2-5 and visit the Chargers next. Chicago sports also tonight. The Blackhawks also tonight in Philadelphia. The Phillies will try to punch their ticket to the World Series. They square off against the Diamondbacks in Game 6. Rangers beat the Astros 9-2 in Game 6, Game 7 tonight in the ALCS. The news service of Protect and Grow with Tim Stearns. Tune in Saturdays at noon and enjoy weekly discussions to a secure retirement. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Brandon Tatum wants to stand strong.
They don't want what's right for America. They never will.
We don't need to push any of their policies. We'll just filibuster, or we just won't do anything. Let's just have a stagnant government. I don't care, but we're not going to acquiesce to the Democrats because they will never acquiesce to us. They take over the House, they're going to ram it down our throats with none of our consent, and we know it. I don't know why we still playing with them.
The Officer Tatum Show, weeknights at 7, right before Jay Sekulow at 9 on AM 560. The Answer.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for townhall.com. It was sobering to witness the huge pro-Palestine protests in London and Paris. In Sydney, their rally featured chants of, yes, gas the Jews. It ought to be a wake-up call. The protesters were immigrants from the Arab world. They'd come to the West, but had failed to adopt the Western values of religious tolerance and pluralism. Worse yet, none of their new countries had demanded it of them. Like the U.S., they've been under sustained cultural assault by the Marxist left. They've lost confidence their way of life is even worth defending. As the U.S. likewise confronts a massive influx of immigrants from all over the world, we need to decide. Are we willing to secure our border and insist that those who do come in legally through the front door accept our values and assimilate? Or are we willing to see those values eroded? The moment of decision is at hand. I'm Carol Platt-Liebau.
All right, Christmas will be here before we know it. If you're looking for a really special gift, I encourage you to check out the firearms made right here in America by our great friends at Henry Repeating Arms. Now, you start by going to their website, henryusa.com, order their free holiday gift guide, and they'll mail it with free decals that you can use for stocking stuffers. Perfect timing. Folks, when you give someone a Henry, you're giving them a work of art that is built with the finest craftsmanship I've ever seen as a collector. Now, their performance is top-notch. Mine were accurate, all of them, right out of the box. They shoot smooth and straight, and they have been reliable ever since. They have over 200 models of rifles and shotguns and revolvers to choose from. One of the things I like the most about these firearms, they're family heirlooms. They'll always be backed by the company's lifetime warranty. So if you want to put something that's made in America under the tree this Christmas, henryusa.com. Get their free gift guide and their decals today. That's henryusa.com. You will love this company.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
I'm Carolyn. I've been in private practice of physician's physical therapy for 35 years.
And you're going to come in, but breathe. Yep, perfect.
I open up at 4 a.m. and I'll go on till 10 a.m. and it's day after day. And as you can see by the equipment here, we are intensely active. People watch, they observe, and people say, Carolyn, what's your secret? And I say it's from proper diet, proper exercise, and of course through Balance of Nature. I'm 60, but since taking Balance of Nature, I feel the energy level of 27. I've been taking Balance of Nature for several years, and I love it. I endorse it, I believe in it, and I would recommend it.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
.608. Let's get an update on the roads this morning. Team Hochberg traffic center time. We'll start on the Kennedy where it's 36 from O'Hare to the Burns Circle interchange. The Eichen 37 390 to the old post office. Stevenson inbound, you got gapers to the outbound closure at Central, and the outbound closure, you're diverted off at Central because of the fatal accident being investigated between Central and Harlem Avenue. Dan Ryan Express lanes, earlier accident has just been relocated off at 47th. You're backed up to 67th, all the way in to 47th on the inbound side of the Dan Ryan Express lanes. Things are also slow in Lombard with an accident, North Avenue, Route 53, and construction in Antioch, North Avenue, east and westbound between Route 83 and Lakewood, starting this morning, causing delays. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Andy Robb.
Cloudy today, you'll see a shower in spots in the afternoon, high 64. An evening shower, then clouds tonight, low 58. Clouds and sunshine, breezy for Tuesday, the high tomorrow, 78. Wednesday, high 70. I'm Andy Robb on AM 560, The Answer.
45 at O'Hare, next news 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. on AM 560. The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Wealth Health Radio with Joe Murphy, Sundays, noon to 1. Learn more online at mwmfinancial.tax.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. I heard Mike Scott reporting that 40-year-old woman who was a synagogue leader in Detroit who was murdered, found outside her home, that police don't believe it was connected to her faith, to her Jewish identity. Okay, so we can ignore it then.
Yeah, move on. Yeah, well, the police said it has nothing to do with the terrorists, so move on. Mm-hmm.
So maybe it doesn't, and so then it's just Detroit being Detroit. So exactly, that's not interesting.
Synagogue leaders get killed all the time, right? No, they don't.
Do you have information that Detroit police don't? Right, I didn't think so. So the point I would suggest is you ignore the murder because that's just Detroit being Detroit. Now, there's no political component to it if what Detroit police are saying is correct. And so you just, and that's just 40-year-old people get murdered in Detroit. People randomly get murdered all the time in big cities. That's fine. There's nothing political about it. So what's even the point of discussing it? For example, this 12-year-old boy who was killed in Inglewood last night. 12-year-old boy killed in Inglewood. That's not the first one. I don't believe there's any suspicion that it's a police officer or a white guy who committed the murder. So what's interesting about that? There's nothing political to it then. So why would we talk about it? Why would we care? This is post 9/11 redux that we're doing right now, as I was arguing on Friday. And it's all of the false equivalences and conflating of the magnitude of threats and the political act of violence du jour to focus upon at the exclusion of similar acts of barbarism and at the exclusion of acts of barbarism that are more reflective of endemic violence in places like Detroit or Chicago. What was the conversation that Scott Pelley had with FBI Director Wray yesterday when the conversation turned to what's happening in Gaza and how it has everybody on a heightened sense of security here because of concerns of lone wolf actors? Where have we heard that before? And what's Wray's focus? It's the refrigerator magnet that you get from the FBI. See something, say something. What's the focus? Exclusively on violence towards Muslim Americans, as illustrated by the horrific murder of that 6-year-old boy in Plainfield the other week.
An American boy was stabbed. In Illinois, a 6-year-old Palestinian American boy was stabbed to death by a man enraged by the attack on Israel.
How do you stop that kind of thing?
The key that we've found in stopping it more and more is trying to have the right eyes and ears out in the community. And so what we need to have are people in the community, when they see something starting to go awry, calling law enforcement. And the attacks that we've been able to prevent over the years have almost always included somebody who's made that phone call. And the attacks that haven't been prevented have almost always had somebody who had that information, but for one reason or another didn't make that phone call.
Yawn. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Yeah, obviously what happened to that boy and his mom, terrible. And
she got out over the weekend, out of the hospital.
I don't know if the see something, say something was going to prevent what happened from happening. But the larger point is this is the subject of a sort of national whole of government response. The 12-year-old murdered on the streets of Inglewood, shoulder shrug. They're both horrific. One represents a more endemic level of violence. One represents something that we have become conditioned to accept. And the other, thankfully, doesn't. I'm glad we're not conditioned to accept a 70-year-old man who stabs to death a 6-year-old boy. I'm glad we're not conditioned to accept it in that circumstance. Why are we conditioned to accept it in Inglewood? Or Chicago? Or Detroit? Oh, well, if that 40-year-old woman, Jewish woman, wasn't killed because she's Jewish, well, then move on.
Yeah.
The real problem, though, according to state-funded media in the form of the NPR Times, Chicago police with extremist ties. At least 27 Chicago police officials appeared in leaked rosters for the Oath Keepers. At least 9 are still with the department. There are 9 police officers out of 12,000 who may or may not be, according to this reporting, which I don't trust because of the source, but let's just say it's true for the sake of argument. 9 out of 12,000 police officers appear on an Oath Keepers roster, and thus the fundamental problem with police. Brandon Johnson promised to clean this up, investigate cops with ties to extremist organizations, as they term them, like the Oath Keepers. And yeah, I understand that the leadership of the Oath Keepers, including its founder, were charged and convicted, several of them, including the founder, but charged and convicted of seditious conspiracy. I think Stuart Rhodes, the founder, was sentenced to something like 20 years in prison, although the quality of the prosecutions for seditious conspiracy inside the district is another topic of conversation. I certainly don't accept those prosecutions at face value beyond the ones that are obvious, where somebody committed an act of vandalism or committed an act of violence. These seditious conspiracy charges where you demonize a particular group that, whose philosophy I don't share, but is extremist because they are a little bit confused about the biblical admonition to render unto Caesar what is Caesar's and unto God what is God's. The idea that that any cop, and there are many, apparently many law enforcement and ex-military on the list of the Oath Keepers, any cop or veteran who's on one of their rosters is somehow an extremist who can't do their jobs. The point is what specifically has occurred while they've been on the job. And what you have are allegations like this in this blockbuster state-funded media report. A Chicago police officer allegedly made racist jokes at a police firing range, fostering a work environment that a black colleague likened to a KKK rally. Another cop was accused of using racial slurs after pulling over a driver who mistakenly turned onto a one-way street after leaving a West Side church. A police supervisor responded to a charity fundraising email by telling an activist from Inglewood he had, quote, no desire to help inner-city poor people, unquote. These are among the 27 current and former Chicago police officers, 9 of who remain in the force, according to this report, who appeared in leaked rosters for the Oath Keepers, an anti-government group that played a central role in the 2021 U.S. Capitol riot. Riot? That was an insurrection. And count many cops, servicemen, and first responders as members. This is your blockbuster reporting in the city of Chicago. What do you think? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. Yeah. That's the center cut. The when you see the against the backdrop of stories they They don't want to tell about the unbelievable increase in violent crime or violent crime adjacent, crimes that are violence adjacent. Robberies are up 58% in CPD's 14th district. That's Logan Square, Bucktown, Wicker Park, Humboldt Park. Next door in the 12th district, which includes from Humboldt Park to West Loop, robberies have increased by 63% year over year. They're up 95% compared to 2019. Just west of the 12th district, the Grand Central District, 25th district, robberies are up 129% from last year, 111% compared to 2019. The problem is those 9 cops on the Oath Keepers rosters who may or may not have made some racially insensitive remarks. And if those allegations are true, that's not appropriate. But you see what I'm talking about conflating the threats, the threat levels on things. The fundamental concern in Chicago is 9 cops out of 12,000 making off-color comments? Or is it the lawlessness throughout the city? Is it the fact that, for example, Water Tower Place is looking to redevelop its top 5 floors? I mean, the iconic Water Tower Place. And this is just yet another example of the ongoing ghettoization of Chicago's revenue-producing areas, in addition to what's happened to its outlying areas over the last 50 years of Democrat socialist lordship. I mean, the last 100, but the accelerant is the last 50, particularly the last 20. Steve, Northwest Side, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Boy, there are 9 guys on the job that may be tied to what they call an extremist organization. Big deal. So what? Who cares? I know 15 liberals on the job that are disgusting and are working with them to destroy that department, not to mention the politicians on that job. It's a big nothing burger. Most of those guys are probably hidden away in equipment and supply or some other useless empty holster position that they have nothing to do with the general public. When I was on the job, I'm retired now, but when I was on the job, there were people I didn't like. There are people today that I don't particularly like. But when I encountered those guys, I gave them the best possible service that I would want, that I could. The same type of service I would want if I were on the receiving end of that. I mean, this is just nothing ridiculous. It's really got me upset this morning with this nonsense. Sorry.
Yeah.
Thanks.
No, thanks for the call. Appreciate the perspective. Yeah, that's what's important. Not this shootout at the Old Town Walgreens over the weekend.
Did you see that? Was it Chicago and North Avenue and Old Town there? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Police say a man in his late 20s entered the store, pulled out a gun during an altercation with a 26-year-old employee that he knew. The employee also pulled out a gun, and then they exchanged gunfire, leaving up to 12 shell casings on the floor in aisle 13. Clean up in aisle 13.
We got a spill.
He was probably the one guy was probably just trying to shoot open those bulletproof casings so he could get a tube of toothpaste.
Right.
This is Old Town.
Right.
The Walgreens in Old Town. Uh-huh.
Not in the middle of the night or anything, during the day. Yeah.
The
a complete lawlessness in the city is showing every single day.
We got to root out those 9 guys that responded to an Oath Keepers email. We got to track down the guy who made off-color jokes at the gun range. Okay. Sounds like an HR matter. How about the larger city matter where 2.7 million people live? Can we have a conversation about that? Ron, Southside.
Yeah, good morning. To that last caller that said big deal about 9 people, I don't want one person conducting themselves like that. As a taxpayer and the police department, I read the story, and if their policy states that conduct is unacceptable, then they need to be dealt with. And then
nobody's arguing that. Nobody's arguing. And that retired cop that called is not arguing that. He's just saying again, what is the rank order of threats? What is the rank order of priorities in the city? what is fundamental to the problem in the city? These 9 officers, and the most that NPR can come up with is intemperate remarks. Come on.
But let me say, okay, let me respond, Dan. First of all, both issues need to be covered. But see, let me tell you, in that whole story, and certainly we talk about crime all the time, but when you have someone who has a mindset, I'm not doing anything for poor people. So does that mean you're not going to fight crime in the community? So no, this story needs to be exposed, just like the crime. But and again, I don't care if it's 2. If it is the policy that is unacceptable behavior, and lastly,
I agree.
If I'm in a working environment.
I agree, Ron.
I don't want a person in a working environment, Dan. Okay, at any place I've ever worked, there's certain behaviors, there's certain language is unacceptable, and I should not have to be so. Your personal views, I don't care what you do, but in the workplace, I don't need to hear the N word. I don't need to hear people calling white people names. So why don't you just be professional and do your job? Then it won't be a story.
I agree, Ron. I totally agree. There is no disagreement. The point is 9 out of 12,000. Do you want to? I mean, this is not excusing the 9. It's we have limited bandwidth, and we have big problems, and this is down the list. This should be handled internally by HR, by the mayor's office, whatever. I mean, you want to apply the 9 out of 12,000 standard to CPS? And I know Ron is on the same page with this. He would say the same thing. Well, same thing in CPS. I get it. You want to apply the 9 and 12,000 to the 30,000 employees at City Hall, the 25,000 employees at county government, the 60,000 employees in state government? I mean, that's fine. I agree. Corporate America, I don't want it either. I completely agree. There's no need for that. There's no place for it in a professional environment. Be respectful of one another. But I mean, this is kindergarten stuff compared to what the city is facing. That's the point. Corey and Woodlawn.
I had a comment, but listening to Ron, I had to change my comment. Our neighborhood needs help. And it's because of people like Ron that we're not getting the help. Our trashmen need help. These guys are running around throwing bags of trash in the middle of the street. I was a beat facilitator for B313. These cops need help. So what if they were on the Oath Keepers? I like the Oath Keepers.
And confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, Doctors Economos, Gavalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidisciplined practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology, such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930. That's 630-830-4930. Or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
You've heard me talk about my love of coffee over and over again. I'm here to tell you I have discovered one of the best brews I've ever tasted and a company that I cannot wait to support. I'm here to tell you about Bone Frog Coffee. The Bone Frog is a sacred symbol in the SEAL teams. It honors those that gave the ultimate sacrifice, their lives. Bone Frog was founded by Tim Crook Shank, a former Navy SEAL and 25-year Navy veteran. Bone Frog honors the fallen, those who gave everything for our freedoms and our American way of life, by giving 10% of all the proceeds to benefit many of the U.S. Navy SEAL foundations. Here's what I need you to do. Go to bonefrogcoffee.com/liberty. Get 10% off your first order. You will also get 15% off Bone Frog Coffee subscriptions. Just enter Liberty at checkout. Go to bonefrogcoffee.com/Liberty. That's bonefrogcoffee.com/Liberty. Taste one of the best brews you ever tasted. 10% of the proceeds go to benefit the Navy SEALs. You'll feel good. It's an American company. Go to bonefrogcoffee.com/Liberty.
When your home or business has an insurance claim, the next step is very important. The claim process with insurance can be tedious, hard to understand, and difficult to navigate. You need someone working for you. You need a licensed claim adjuster. Why? The insurance company will send out their inspectors that work for them, get paid by them, and represent them, not you.
This is Dan Lights from Crosscom. We inspect your property, file your claim, negotiate the damages, and maximize your settlement with your insurance company. If we complete the repairs approved by your insurance company, our service is free. Crosscom Public Adjusters has turned denied claims into approved claims. We've also increased insurance claims anywhere from 23 to 1,000%. We are licensed by the Department of Insurance and work in Illinois, Northwest Indiana, and Southern Wisconsin. Crosscom Public Adjusters, 630-871-5500. Online at crosscominc.com. That's crosscominc.com. Crosscom, building trust for over 20 years.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Well, I guess we have to do a virtual slideshow of Justin's honeymoon since he's back now. We'll do that. We'll also probably get to this failure to launch a new speaker in the House. 7:37.
Yeah,
excuse me, 6:36.
Yeah, nine people are vying for it, but we'll see. Now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
45 degrees at 6:32. A person killed in a crash on the Stevenson Expressway this morning. Illinois State Police confirmed the crash occurred about 2 a.m. in the outbound lanes of I-55, just south of Harlem Avenue near Stinkney. All lanes of the expressway are shut down between Central and Harlem. Traffic diverted off at Central. The U.S. moments ago renewed a warning that it would defend the Philippines in case of an armed attack after Chinese ships blocked and collided with 2 Filipino naval vessels Sunday in the South China Sea. Israel's military is again urging Palestinian civilians to leave northern Gaza to avoid being caught up in expected fighting. Israeli military notes 1 soldier was killed and 3 more wounded in a raid targeting Hamas terror fighters near the Gaza border. The White House, meantime, is asking Israel to hold off on a ground invasion of the Gaza Strip. Fox's Trey Yinks says at least 20 of the hostages in Gaza are believed to be over the age of 60 years old, and more than 20 are reportedly under the age of 18. House Republicans are set to meet tonight in their latest efforts to find a speaker.
If we don't have a speaker of the House, we can't govern. And every day it goes by, we're essentially shut down as a government.
Texas GOP Congressman Michael McCall. Chevron this morning announcing it is buying Hess for $53 billion with a B dollars. And it's not even the biggest acquisition in the energy sector this month. As major producers try to seize initiative, the Chevron Hess deal comes 2 weeks after ExxonMobil said it would acquire Pioneer Natural Resources. Here locally, as the Israel-Hamas war enters its 3rd week, Governor J.B. Pritzker today is expected to join the Arab American Bar Association at an event to, quote, condemn hate and violence, end quote, this morning at the Chicago Bar Association. You may recall the governor spoke at an Israeli solidarity gathering at a synagogue in Glencoe earlier this month. Meantime, the long nightmare captivity for an Evanston mother and daughter taken by Hamas during its deadly terror attacks on Israel has come to an end. IDF forces confirmed the 2 were released to the Red Cross and are back in Israel. 1 person is in custody after a gun was fired and pepper spray set off near opposing rallies supporting Israel and Palestinian people outside of a Lincolnwood mall yesterday evening. About 200 pro-Palestinian organizers showed up where a separate Solidarity with Israel event was already being held. Police say a 12-year-old child has died after a shooting on the city's south side. Deputy Chief Gilberto Calderon.
About 6:30 p.m.,
officers responded to a shot spot alert in the area of 600 West Marquette. Upon arrival, they found a young child with a gunshot wound, subsequently was brought into Comas Hospital, where he subsequently passed away.
There's a $15,000 reward tied to the homicide case, and police are asking the community for help in solving the crime. At least 26 were shot, 5 killed in weekend gun violence across the city. Chicago sports. Bears winners on Sunday, beating the Raiders. Tyson Bagent leading the Bears to a 30-12 win over Vegas at Soldier Field. Blackhawks gave up 3 in the third in a 5-3 loss to the Golden Knights at the UC Saturday night, while the Bulls prepping for their NBA lid lifter against OKC on Wednesday. The news, a service of Lowe's. Klein tools are new at Lowe's, and right now, get the new Klein 3-piece ModBox mobile workstation exclusively at Lowe's for just $319.94, because Lowe's knows tools, Lowe's knows pros. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Make sure that you never miss a day of Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson when you subscribe to the Chicago's Morning Answer podcast, presented by Signature Bank. Listen to the entire show each day on demand with limited commercial breaks. You can subscribe today for free at 560theanswer.com and click on podcasts, or search for Chicago's Morning Answer on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Have you been struggling to find an easy, safe, and secure document scanning solution for Salesforce.com, Microsoft 365, SharePoint, or OnBase by Highland? Your struggle is now over, and it's time to get your documents and operations into the 21st century with IoT Smart Connected Scanning. It's easy to turn physical paper into digital documents and have them directly uploaded to the cloud with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. And you don't need a degree in computing or IT to make it happen. Using QR code technology uniquely configured for your specific business, anyone can set the IoT Smart Connected Scanning device up in 5 minutes or less, saving your organization money and valuable time. Remote employees can even capture documents and send them safely and seamlessly. Organize documents efficiently and securely with IoT Smart Connected Scanning from IDT. To see a demo or to order now, go to ready4idt.com. That's ready4idt.com. Use promo code SMART and receive 10% off your order. IDT, putting paper in its place.
Think the government is spying on you? Wait until you learn the entire truth from Swiss America, the trusted leader in precious metals for 40 years. Let's just say you might want to think twice before making a bank withdrawal these days, because somebody could be watching. It's true. Let Swiss America educate you about how banks are required to spy on us for the government and report any behavior they deem suspicious. You'll be shocked when you read The Secret War on Cash from Swiss America, which is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. It's free to Salem listeners. Get your free copy of The Secret War on Cash by calling or texting 800-630-1495. That's 800-630-1495. This war includes digital currencies too, so please get and read The Secret War on Cash free by calling or texting right now at 800-630-1495. 800-630-1495. Message and data rates may apply.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors in Roselle. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows and doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we've been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows. From modern to traditional styles, Marvin replacement windows and doors can bring your garden right into your living space. Let us help make your world feel brighter and spacious. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you'll get a product expert, a design consultant who is solution-minded, and someone who has your best interest in mind. Our professional services, along with the best products like Marvin, are why we are proud of our 5-star reviews. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows is your trusted window and door experts in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation, or come and experience our state-of-the-art showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
Gillette Intimate gives guys a gentle and easy shave. Don't treat yourself like junk. Respect it with Gillette Intimate, the best a man can get. Buy now at a retailer near you.
640. Let's check the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. We'll start on the inbound and outbound Stevenson. Inbound Stevenson, very slow, 45 into Lakeshore Drive, because you have gapers to an outbound fatal accident. So your gapers inbound are between First Avenue and Central. Outbound, the road is completely shut down and traffic being diverted off at Central because of that fatal accident investigation taking place near Harlem Avenue. We'll switch to the Dan Ryan inbound, where there is a car versus semi accident blocking 3 right lanes. It's inbound between Pershing and Roosevelt, and the travel time on the inbound Ryan now 50 minutes, 5-0 from 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Cloudy most of the day with a shower in spots this afternoon. High 64. 45 officially at O'Hare. Your next news update is at 7. And Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Wang Chung. Interesting.
Yeah. Oh, like at
Dance All
Justin's
Days.
wedding, danced all night.
Was it Dance All Day? Was Dance All Days featured at the wedding? Was it?
Was it Justin?
Wang Chung?
Wang Chung,
Was
did
Wang
you play?
Chung part of it? Was that Wang
No,
Chung on the
that
playlist?
was not.
Oh, that's. I was going to say it's a little before your time. All right, it's time for a little girl talk for Amy's sake. Justin, tell us all about the honeymoon. And by the way, first question, predicate question: did you cry during the vows?
Okay.
And be honest.
Okay, so during the main ones, no, I did not. Do you
Oh,
take
boy.
in sickness and in health? But in the private ones, I will admit I did cry.
Okay, so tell us, what is
Wait,
this
wait, wait,
private
wait,
one?
yeah,
Walk
What's
us
that?
through this.
Well, a lot of couples like to do personal vows, and then you're standing in front of the audience making inside jokes that not a lot of people understand. We wanted to keep it quick, tight, sentimental, and so we agreed on a limit of length, and we did it privately so that all the inside jokes weren't missed on the audience, and so that it didn't make everybody have to sit around for like 15 minutes while we just blabbered on.
And this is when you cried, though. You cried, though, right, during this portion?
Yes,
The private section of the day?
So weak. So read us the private vows.
Yeah. I told you to bring a copy. Let's go.
Private vows.
No?
No,
Just give us a taste.
And please keep it together.
Hence the
God's
word
sakes.
private. There were private vows.
Well, but he was doing that for the purpose of expediting the process. And we've got time here. I assume he wants our listeners, they're like family, to hear this as well. No, we don't.
Oh,
have
no, he's
private
looking it
vows.
up. You're looking it up on your phone, right?
I'm not reading any of these.
Yeah, exactly. Because
I
then
know the
come the
reaction.
waterworks.
Okay, well, when
All right.
did you cry during the ceremony or at the reception? Didn't you cry when you were dancing with your mom, or did I have that wrong?
I might have teared up while I was dancing with my mom, but that was only because she was crying, and
Well, that's okay.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
like
that
her.
was
I'm
sweet.
total sap when it comes to other people crying in front of me.
And they're
Oh, my
still
God.
married. They're a weekend.
So it's
and
like
they're
a
still
scene, it's like a scene from Stand By Me with the vomiting that starts, and then everybody starts vomiting. Which is what I would have done actually if I had seen that. So tell us about the honeymoon.
Oh, the honeymoon was beautiful. We went to Curacao. We had a stop in Panama, so it was cool to go experience. My first time traveling out of the United States, so it was an unforgettable experience. Seeing Curacao was absolutely stunning, and it is hot.
Yeah.
To come back to this is pretty
And what
miserable.
language do they speak there?
It's a language called Papiamento. It's like Portuguese, Spanish, and English and Dutch all jammed into one language.
Are you fluent now? Did you go before the island excursion? Did you spend any time at Panama? Did you go to the canal?
No, we didn't. Panama was
No.
just a stopover. It was
Okay,
real
I
quick stopover, and didn't get to see it actually in the light of day. It was just we got in at like 6 p.m. and then went to bed and woke up and straight to Curacao.
And then you just lie around the beach. What do you guys do?
Oh, was it beautiful? We stayed at the Sandals Resort out there, so it was all inclusive. So it was a lot of beach time, a lot of pool time, so much to do. And then we went into the downtown to see all the downtown Willemstad had to offer.
Did you cry at all during the honeymoon on the beach or sightseeing?
Well, one time.
Oh my God!
Oh my God! Tell us.
No, this one's a little
keep it
more
together.
I can now. My stepdad was the officiant at my wedding. It was a really special thing for him because he doesn't have kids of his own. So we had like an emotional stepfather-son moment prior to the ceremony. And, Beth and I were reflecting on that while we were out there. And it's just a special memory that I think he gets to.
I have to tell you, I had a blast at your wedding. I laughed, I cried, we danced, it just was a really good time. And I love
like
your
cats.
family.
Yeah.
Well, his favorite aunt and I were taking pictures. Is it Aunt Jenny?
Aunt Jenny.
I have some pictures to show. Oh, no, I've got
Jenny
them right
and
here.
Aunt Amy. Yeah.
Aunt Jenny. She
All right.
claims she's your favorite aunt.
All right.
Any stories, though, after we left? Anybody, do anything crazy at the reception?
Nothing too crazy. I tried to shot ski for the first time in my life. Apparently that's a thing.
Yeah, I saw you guys doing that. I'm like, ooh, time for me to leave. Dan, have you ever done a shot ski? You know what that is?
I don't know what that is.
Justin, can you explain it to Dan?
Since we're in a ski area. Villa Olivia is a ski I don't want to say resort.
Yes.
Huge mountains.
So a bunch of shot glasses
Black
mounted
diamond.
on a
Double black diamond.
ski.
Yeah.
It was really cool. I've never had seen one in my life before, so I thought it was a thing just in the movies. So it was really cool to see one out in the wild.
Not a skier. But okay. All right. Anything else that we should know as you head off into wedded bliss? No.
Nothing.
I think you two are going to make it though, because I can. I'm intuitive. When I go to weddings, I always know like, this is not going to work.
Did you
they
know
were going
that
to get divorced, and at their wedding, I knew for sure that they were going to. I know you're going to make it.
Did you know that at your first wedding?
Yeah. No, I'm.
Were you intuitive?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, I'm not kidding you. Even at my own, I thought like this. We're not going to. I don't know about this.
Yeah.
Are you just saying that though, or are you being
No, I'm not
honest?
saying. I'm being honest. Even at my own.
So when the question came to you for the I do, you said, "What? I guess so. We'll give it a run."
Well, you're all here, sure.
Right. Yeah.
Well, she had so many people covering the plate that day that she had plenty of money for her honeymoon.
Exactly.
Oh yeah. Justin, did you cover the plate? By the way.
Did I cover?
Did you count up your cash and your earnings?
Justin was paying out to cover the plate. No.
Right.
Mike, you covered the plate, right?
No.
Oh, you gave a gift?
We
had
don't
this
remember.
discussion.
Did I give a gift? We had this discussion.
You're being invited to a party. Well, I covered enough plates for all of you folks.
Yes, you did.
All right. So these are the days of our lives.
Yes. One geography question.
Yes.
There,
Yes.
Mr. Justin. Did you get a glimpse of Venezuela from
No,
Curacao?
we weren't able to capture a glimpse. That was one of my biggest points was that we're right on the coast of it, but you can't see 40 miles out. And plus, there was always a storm going on over there, so it was very foggy and clouded. And even when we were on the boat, out a couple miles, it was still not visible.
Were there any illegals from Venezuela trying to invade the island? Or did they keep them at bay? Well, kind of like Cuba to Florida to Key West. I mean, did you see any of that?
I didn't see anything crazy or nefarious going on.
You decided not to sightsee in Caracas. Probably a good call. All right. Sands through the hourglass. Are we? I mean, I've sort of run the table here. I can't.
This is like girl talk for you. It's very
prosecution rests.
Yeah. All right. Well, congratulations to Justin and his family and
Bethany's his wife's name.
Nah, Bethany, the dog.
The dog was part of the ceremony too, and Somersault did a really good job.
The ring bearer?
What was Somersault doing there?
Somersault was just a part of the wedding. We just wanted to involve her in some way. The ring bearers were the two little girls, my little cousins, but Somersault, and then Somersault, of course, stopped and said hi to Eric, our boss here.
Yeah, made her stop along the way.
Okay. All right. Well, there it is. Justin's wedding, the last wedding, hopefully, that the Chicago Morning Answer family will have. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
Hi, Dr. Ron Paul here. The Fed creates and pops bubbles using interest rate manipulation. Why put the value of your IRA or 401k at their mercy? This is why I recommend a physical gold IRA from Birch Gold Group. To get a free info kit from Birch Gold, text the word SHELTER to 989898. That's SHELTER to 989898. Do it now and protect your savings.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
I'm Carolyn. I've been in private practice of physician's physical therapy for 35 years.
And you're going to come in, but breathe, breathe. Yep, perfect.
I open up at 4 a.m. and I'll go on till 10 a.m. and it's day after day. And as you can see by the equipment here, we are intensely active. People watch, they observe, and people say, Carolyn, what's your secret? And I say it's from proper diet, proper exercise, and of course, through Balance of Nature. I'm 60, but since taking Balance of Nature, I feel the energy level of 27. I've been taking Balance of Nature for several years, and I love it. I endorse it, I believe in it, and I would recommend it.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Retirement planning can be complicated. From asset and legacy protection to retirement income and extended care, you need a plan. Tune in to Retirement and Income Radio, hosted by well-known Chicagoland financial educator Mark Kohler. Mark helps listeners in or near retirement protect their savings from market volatility while creating lifetime guaranteed income. Listen to Retirement and Income Radio Sunday afternoons at 3:30 on AM 560 The Answer, or call Mark now at 844-619-SAFE.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
Hi, this is Scott Trout of Cordell & Cordell. If you're a dad who is facing divorce, there are extra layers of stress that may include stereotypes and assumptions. No two situations are the same. Our legal experience and dedication prepare us for whatever legal challenges we face together. You need a partner you can count on. For more than 30 years, Cordell & Cordell has represented men in divorce.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Springfield area attorneys. 2815 Old Jacksonville Road, Suite 103, Springfield, Illinois, 62704.
When you're serious about your concealed carry training and education and are ready to learn from an active police officer with a teaching degree, check out Illinois Concealed Carry Training in Midlothian. You'll learn safe, responsible firearm use, home defense planning, conflict avoidance, situational awareness, and how to remain physically, morally, and financially safe in the event you must use your firearm in self-defense or the defense of another. Weekday and weekend classes available.
I'm Sergeant Gary Carr, police firearms trainer and the owner of Illinois Concealed Carry Training. We'll arm you with what really counts, knowledge and training. All concealed carry curriculums are not created equal. This may be the single most important decision you'll ever make for yourself and your loved ones. Choose between 3 and 16-hour classes that are available both weekdays and weekends. We are your one-stop for concealed carry classes, fingerprints, and legal defense plans.
Register for a class today and get 10% off class fees with promo code AM560. Visit IllinoisConcealedCarry.com. That's IllinoisConcealedCarry.com.
I talk openly about money with my kids. It's important they learn at a young age.
I make sure to always give back. It's how I remember where I came from.
I put what I can towards my retirement every month. Every little bit counts.
At Thrivent, we believe money is a tool, not a goal. Driven by a higher purpose at our core for more than 100 years, we offer expert financial advice that starts with what's important to you. Visit Thrivent.com to learn more.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
Hi, this is Scott Trout of Cordell & Cordell. If you're a dad who is facing divorce, there are extra layers of stress that may include stereotypes and assumptions. No two situations are the same. Our legal experience and dedication prepare us for whatever legal challenges we face together. You need a partner you can count on. For more than 30 years, Cordell & Cordell has represented men in divorce.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Springfield area attorneys. 2815 Old Jacksonville Road, Suite 103, Springfield, Illinois, 62704.
AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Rick, Downers Grove, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning. Hey, I perfectly understand why the man might cry at a wedding ceremony doing the vows, because that's when the reality is going to hit you of what you just did, and there ain't no backing out now. You're going to start crying.
Thanks for the call, Rick. Wow. All right. One perspective. Babylon Bee helping folks who are a little confused on which side are the good guys, which side are the bad guys in the Middle East. Mm-hmm. Signs you might actually be the bad guy. 9 signs you might actually be the bad guy. Number 9, college kids love you. Yeah, that's good. 8, you're exhilarated by the thought of innocent people being killed. Mm-hmm. As you've heard from many a college professor. Number 7, you have a heavy machine gun mounted in the bed of your 1994 Toyota pickup truck and you don't live in Kentucky.
Oh, my God.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Number 6, your bulletproof vest has a child on the front of it.
Oh, my God.
Number 5, you defend yourself by reminding everyone you didn't behead all the babies you killed. Too soon. Number 4, Biden gave you $6 billion. That's never a good sign. Number 3, you look at almost anything and say to yourself, I wonder if I can turn that into a rocket and kill someone with it. Number 2, your biggest supporters are Ayatollah Khomeini and Mia Khalifa. I often mention the same sentence. That's that model, right? That dingbat model?
Yes.
Or rapper or rap model.
I don't know. Who is that person?
And number 1 sign you may be the bad guy. Paragliders seem like a great tool for murdering. Yeah. I get it. It's dark humor, but dark humor with a point, which is good satire. Coming up at 7:07, we're going to talk to Andy McCarthy. Speaking of being paid $6 billion by Biden, how about that curious transfer? You know, people want, the D.C. Press Corps wants House Republicans to prove up. Smoking gun. Where's the money that went directly to Joe Biden? Where's the money that went from point A to the big guy that indicates something nefarious? Well, $200,000 from Biden brother to the big guy, as so documented by Jim Comer. I know the posture is you don't have anything and we're not interested in you investigating to find anything, but House Republicans are moving forward anyway, and they've got something. We're going to put that by Andy McCarthy and get his perspective on it.
Well, is this the brother who takes the naked selfies?
No, it's
brother? No,
understandable. It's a lot to keep track of. This is Jim Biden.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Jim Biden, who is he is the inveterate Biden brother when it comes to leveraging the Biden name for government contracts, in particular in areas where he had no particular expertise. I mean, he got a contract to do green zone construction in Iraq or Afghanistan. I can't remember which, but he has no background in construction. He's doing real estate development in Costa Rica after the big guy meets with the Costa Rican president and so forth. I mean, all of this has been documented, but it needs to be restated and re-examined, and Jim Comer and company are on the job, even in the absence of a speaker. Andy McCarthy discusses it with us at 7:07.
But first, let's head into that newsroom for news here at home and around the world. Once again, a very busy man. Here is Mike Scott.
1 person killed in a crash on the Stevenson Expressway early this morning. As the Israel-Hamas war enters its 3rd week, the governor expected to join the American Arab Bar Association at an event today. Several robberies are reported over 30 minutes on the northwest side. And the rookie QB leads the Bears to a win. WIND Chicago News Time, 7 o'clock.
Now 9 Republicans want the job. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. It's 20 days since the House had a speaker and could get any work done. Jim Jordan lost 3 votes on the House floor last week and dropped out. New speaker candidates had until noon yesterday to announce their intention to run, and 9 did.
Jack Bergman of Michigan, Byron Donalds of Florida, Tom Emmer of Minnesota, Kevin Hern of Oklahoma, Mike Johnson of Louisiana, Dan Muser of Pennsylvania, Gary Palmer of Alabama, Austin Scott of Georgia, and Pete Sessions of Texas. The plan is to have them state their cases at a closed-door forum tonight, ahead of a secret caucus ballot Tuesday. Republicans hope the one who emerges will do what Jim Jordan could not, unite the party and reopen the House for business. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
The Israeli military increases the number of known hostages held by Hamas militants in Gaza to 222.
The Israelis continue limited raids into Gaza to try and look for information about the hostages that are being held there, and also to ensure that they are clearing the path for that expected ground operation.
Fox's Trey Yanks. The health ministry in Gaza reports 436 Palestinians, including 182 children, killed in Israeli military strikes in the last 24 hours. The funeral is held in Oak Park, Michigan, for Samantha Wall, a 40-year-old president of a synagogue in Detroit, stabbed to death Saturday morning. Her sister Monica.
She was a model citizen, a model Jewish citizen, who forged a path for herself and countless others to feel more connected with local community, Israel, and the whole of humanity.
Police have not identified a suspect and say they have no evidence of any motive, including anti-Semitism. Former President Trump on social media says a New York Times story about Trump sharing classified information with an Australian billionaire, Anthony Pratt, is fake news, and calls Pratt a red-haired weirdo. America's listening to Fox News.
.45 degrees, 7:02 on AM 560, The Answer. I'm Mike Scott. One person was killed in a crash along the Stevenson Expressway in the outbound lanes this morning around 2 a.m. Illinois State Police confirmed the crash, and the outbound lanes are shut down right at Central. In fact, traffic is diverted off at Central, and the crash scene itself is between Central and Harlem Avenue. One person is in custody after a gun was fired and pepper spray set off near opposing rallies supporting Israel and Palestine outside of a Lincolnwood Mall yesterday evening. Meantime, downtown, a pro-Israel rally had to be moved away from the Dirksen Federal Building after members there received threats from those online claiming to support Hamas terrorists. The longtime nightmare in captivity for a Evanston mother and daughter taken by Hamas during its deadly terror attack on Israel has come to an end. Israeli Defense Forces confirmed the two, Judith Renan and her 17-year-old daughter, were released. As the Israel-Hamas war enters its third week, Governor J.B. Pritzker is expected to join the American Arab Bar Association at an event condemning hate and violence. The event, scheduled for 11 a.m. today at the Chicago Bar Association. Rookie backup Tyson Bagent led the Bears to a 30-12 win over the Vegas Raiders at Soldier Field. Chicago running back Deontay Foreman ran all over Vegas, 89 yards on the ground, a pair of scores, and three catches through the air for 31 yards and another touchdown.
And I'm just trying to continue to be the best I could be and continue to just grow as a football player and as a person, and just continue to dominate when I get my opportunities.
Bears visit the Chargers next. Police say a 12-year-old child died in a shooting on the city's south side on Sunday night. Deputy Director Glenn Brooks says they're pouring resources into the grieving family and the search for clues.
As the investigation continues, our family liaisons, that's the Chicago Police Department's family liaisons, will work with those families to provide information and updates throughout the investigative process.
At least 26 were shot and 5 were killed in weekend violence across the city. Blackhawks gave up 3 goals in the third in a 5-3 loss to Vegas on Saturday. The Bulls now prepping for the NBA regular season. They open up on Wednesday against OKC. The news service of Salem Surround, a local digital marketing agency. Go to surroundchicago.com today. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Freedom Summit Chicago tickets are now on sale. Join AM 560, The Answer, on November 11th at the Westin Chicago Northwest for Freedom Summit, featuring Rand Paul, Judge Janine Pirro from Fox News, Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, and many more. Tickets are on sale now at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Automated Systems Incorporated, healthinsurancementors.com, and by Illinois Concealed Carry Training.
You've heard me talk about my love of coffee over and over again. I'm here to tell you I have discovered one of the best brews I've ever tasted, and a company that I cannot wait to support. I'm here to tell you about Bone Frog Coffee. The Bone Frog is a sacred symbol in the SEAL teams. It honors those that gave the ultimate sacrifice, their lives. Bone Frog was founded by Tim Crook Shank, a former Navy SEAL and 25-year Navy veteran. Bone Frog honors the fallen, those who gave everything for our freedoms and our American way of life, by giving 10% of all the proceeds to benefit many of the U.S. Navy SEAL foundations. Here's what I need you to do. Go to bonefrogcoffee.com/liberty. Get 10% off your first order. You will also get 15% off Bone Frog Coffee subscriptions. Just enter Liberty at checkout. Go to bonefrogcoffee.com/liberty. That's bonefrogcoffee.com/liberty. Taste one of the best brews you ever tasted. 10% of the proceeds go to benefit the Navy SEALs. You'll feel good. It's an American company. Go to bonefrogcoffee.com/liberty.
All right, Christmas will be here before we know it. If you're looking for a really special gift, I encourage you to check out the firearms made right here in America by our great friends at Henry Repeating Arms. Now, you start by going to their website, henryusa.com. Order their free holiday gift guide, and they'll mail it with free decals that you can use for stocking stuffers. Perfect timing. Folks, when you give someone a Henry, you're giving them a work of art that is built with the finest craftsmanship I've ever seen as a collector. Now, their performance is top-notch. Mine were accurate, all of them, right out of the box. They shoot smooth and straight, and they have been reliable ever since. They have over 200 models of rifles and shotguns and revolvers to choose from. One of the things I like the most about these firearms, they're family heirlooms. They'll always be backed by the company's lifetime warranty. So if you want to put something that's made in America under the tree this Christmas, henryusa.com. Get their free gift guide and their decals today. That's henryusa.com. You will love this company.
Urgent Camp Lejeune settlement message. On September 6th, the government announced it will soon begin providing fast, guaranteed settlements to Camp Lejeune Marines, families, and civilians. Awards will range between $100,000 and $550,000, with an option for higher amounts. If you or a loved one spent time at Camp Lejeune and suffered cancers of the bladder, liver, or kidneys, leukemia, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, Parkinson's, or kidney issues, you may qualify for compensation and could be paid within 60 days after accepting your settlement, with your VA benefits fully protected. You may be entitled to a significant financial award for your Camp Lejeune claim, but you must act now. Call the James Harris Law Camp Lejeune helpline now to get the compensation you deserve. We're already fighting for thousands harmed by the water at Camp Lejeune. Call now or you may forever lose your right to be awarded a settlement between $100,000 and $550,000. For your free evaluation, call 800-299-7878. That's 800-299-7878. 800-299-7878.
7:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of the Fireplace and Chimney Authority, Chicagoland's largest and most respected fireplace and chimney company. Call to schedule your appointment today, 630-279-8500, or visit their showrooms in Lisle and Elmhurst. Tri-State accident right shoulder northbound right near Cermak. You got problems in the roadwork zone northbound on DuSable Lakeshore Drive between Marquette and 57th. Dan Ryan has been a mess all morning long. 49 from 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Due to an earlier accident, the locals are jammed solid between Garfield and Roosevelt. And the mess on the Stevenson outbound remains in place. You're diverted off at Central because of an earlier fatal accident near Harlem Avenue. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Andy Robb.
Cloudy skies for today. You'll see a shower in spots in the afternoon, high 64. Following a shower, clouds tonight, low 58. Clouds and sunshine. Breezy Tuesday, high 78, and a high 70 for Wednesday. I'm Andy Robb on AM 560, The Answer.
46 at O'Hare. Next news, 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the Money Hour Radio Show, Saturday afternoons at 3. Brought to you by Pure Shale Financial Group at PureShaleFinancial.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Meet Adam Moore, won't you? Adam Moore is San Francisco. Adam Moore is also a convicted sex offender who lives his life by two simple rules. I'll let him tell you.
Adam Moore tells me he has lived on the sidewalk across the street from Stella Maris Academy for more than 2 years, and that his sign offering free fentanyl for new users is no joke. Moore says he's just passing on the drugs that other people give him in exchange for blankets and supplies he provides.
They feel bad if they don't reciprocate, so they bring me trash that they've scavenged, things that they think are valuable. Or they give me some of the drugs that they have, which I don't do.
You're exposing grade school kids to this.
Mm-hmm.
This is not right. You know that.
No, it's, it's shallow.
The kids come out of the school and they see this?
Yeah, I only live by two rules. Be kind to others and make it look easy for children.
The Richmond District Police Captain told me they recently tried an undercover sting on Moore, but he didn't have any drugs at the time. However, it's his past that's led to some concerns. Moore is on the Megan's Law website for lewd and lascivious acts with a child under the age of 14.
I was innocent of all of the charges that I've been accused of, convicted of.
Moore is apparently not considered a high-risk offender, so he does not have to follow the rule to stay 2,000 feet away from any school.
And I was told that he is in compliance with all of the components of what his sex registration are.
That's a police officer there. So, hey, our hands are tied. Kids, if you're looking for free fentanyl, Adam Moore's right across the street once you get out of school. San Francisco.
How did it get to this?
San Francisco, pretty straightforward, actually. Pretty straight line. The city has intensified its crackdown on street vendors as the fencing of stolen goods has become increasingly prevalent in the downtown areas, including UN Plaza and the vicinity of Mission and Market Streets. Those areas are also known for drug deals. The problem with that crackdown is the lives of city inspectors are being threatened. So now city inspectors in San Francisco are wearing bulletproof vests when they have to go down and sweep these street vendors for proper permitting and so forth. Yeah. And we talked about Chicago, where we stand a little bit earlier in the show, not just the murder of yet another preteen yesterday in Inglewood, but also per Pritzker's purge law, the release of a truck driver who opened fire on another car during a road rage incident on I-55. Not a threat to the public. He's free to go, pending trial. That's what's happening in big city America, where the New Orleans DA got carjacked with his mom in the car last week. And the anecdotes are legion. And the data is irrefutable. And the change doesn't appear to be coming. For more on this and other topics, we're pleased to be joined by our friend Andy McCarthy. He, of course, is a contributing editor to National Review. He is the former Chief Assistant U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Manhattan. And he's the author of the bestseller, Ball of Collusion, The Plot to Rig an Election and Destroy a Presidency. Andy, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Morning.
Well, why don't you take a shot at the question Amy asked. How did we get here in San Francisco, Chicago, St. Louis, New Orleans, Memphis, Baltimore, etc.?
Well, it's the same answer, really, for how we end up with, pro-Palestinian demonstrations on America's campus the day after, just days after a massive murder and rape spree. It's not. Basically, the answer is we decided to unlearn history. There's nothing really new about this. It's a little bit more disturbing today, I think, than it was in the 60s and 70s, Dan, in that I think progressive ideas have invaded and pervaded the institutions in a way that they hadn't in the 60s and 70s. So in the old days, we had crime that's even higher than it is now. I mean, I always remind people we complain in New York that we had about 480 homicides last year, and in 1991 we had, I think it was 2,600 homicides. So the crime rate and the just the sheer number of crimes isn't quite what it was in the worst of the bad old days, but you can get there pretty fast. And what happened in those days was we were applying exactly the kind of progressive prosecutorial ideas that are applied today, which are basically non-enforcement policies which embolden the criminals. The problem with trying to snap back is, even though we know what works, because it's not like an abstract idea, we had crime down very significantly for 30 years, from about the mid-90s to the mid-2010s. But the will to do it has really seeped away, and I think for that I blame the fact that the crazies who were blowing up the buildings in the 60s and 70s at a certain point in time realized that taking over the school system was better for them than blowing it up, and the society rewarded them with instead of putting them in prison, which is where they belonged, they ended up in very influential academic positions.
Sure. Yeah.
To the point where they're now running, what books you read, what syllabuses are taught, etc. And I've been trying to make this point I wrote a book about the Muslim Brotherhood in 2010 called The Grand Jihad, explaining that the Muslim Brotherhood was a sophisticated terrorist organization, not a sophisticated Sharia supremacist organization for which terrorism was just one item on a menu, and that they were spending a lot more of their energy on setting up Muslim students associations, which there were only about a handful of them in the Midwest when they started in the 1960s. They now have 4 or 5 chapters in almost every university campus in the United States and Canada. And if you're asking yourself, how did this happen on the campus, just like Amy just asked, how did we get here? This is how we got here. You turn over the institutions of opinion to progressives for a generation or 3, and this is what you get.
But are you surprisingly? I mean, everyone is these pro-Palestinian rallies. I mean, the pro-Israel rally yesterday in Chicago, they had to move locations 3 times, and they ended up at Foster Beach. I mean, they can't even have the pro-Palestinians take over downtown Chicago, and even doctors wearing white jackets are out there. Well, it's just, I mean, are you surprised as not just college students, but it seems like a lot of Americans are pro-Palestinians?
I'm not surprised as far as the school age and younger people are, because, as I said, those universities have become indoctrination centers of Jew hatred. What surprises and alarms me is how easily the fervidness of anti-Semitism came to the surface. I mean, you would think in a better time in the world, an attack like happened on October 7th would make those people shut up for a year or so. And instead, they, as the saying goes, found their voice within about 48 hours, to the point where it's like the atrocities that were committed are a footnote, and what matters is the Palestinian cause. And the Palestinian cause, they're, I think, getting more audacious about saying out loud what it is. Like they used to say they just want self-determination, or they just want dignity. Now now everybody knows this because they've said it so much. This, from the river to the sea, right, Palestine will be free. Well, Israel pulled out of Gaza in 2005, every inch of it, and they like nothing better than to wash their hands of the West Bank as well. So if what they really wanted was what all the delusional politicians say, which is a 2-state solution of Israel and Palestine living side by side in peace. It's not, you can't just say they could have that. They could have had it already. So what from the river to the sea means is that they consider every inch of that to be Muslim land, including Israel. And as long as the state of Israel exists, then they won't be quote unquote free. That's what the cause means. So it's Jew hatred and it's intense anti-Zionism. And I think people are starting to ask themselves, I hope they are, why has every government, Republican and Democrat, going back to the 1990s, told us this nonsense about the two-state solution when the people over there don't want it? I mean, the Israelis would be content to have it, but their neighbors are people who want them destroyed, and that's never changed, and that's what they teach in the schools.
I want to go back to I want to go back to the institutional piece too, because I think that's the important point when it comes to the West and particularly America. Talking about college campuses, but of course this is seeped into the national security apparatus of our government. Story just last week: amid Israel-Gaza tensions, Blinken holds listening meetings with Muslim and Jewish staffers because you've had some Muslim officials, or just generally officials, quit in protest over the administration's support for Israel's response in Gaza. You had a story from the Daily Wire last week where a former spokesman for the PLO is processing asylum applications. She's got a mid to senior level job at the Department of Homeland Security. So the sort of the turning over of the institutions to illiberal people of all stripes and denominations, but who share a particular ideology.
Yeah, I think, Dan, this is for those of us who've always said that the Biden administration is like the third term of the Obama-Biden administration. This makes it's a seamless transition, right? In the Obama years, you were no longer allowed to say terrorism. They changed it to violent extremism, and they told people that you're not supposed to study ideology, particularly the Islamic ideology, which I call Sharia supremacism, that was driving terrorism. Their idea was any ideology that's taken to an extreme could cause violence, and they thought the most likely violence was to come from like Republicans and eventually Trump supporters and the like. And if you remember, in those days, I think we talked about it any number of times, they purged from FBI and intelligence training people who could lecture in the ideology that drove the terrorism against us from, basically going back to Hezbollah in the 80s going forward. And I was amazed because I had prosecuted terrorists in court in the 1990s. And it turned out that most of what we used to call evidence that we would present to the jury, our agents who were being trained as national security officials were no longer allowed to hear that in their training. And, fortunately, most of them were smart enough, to go outside the government and educate themselves if they were doing this work day to day. But the people who were officially coming in to instruct classes at Quantico for the FBI and at other places for the Defense Intelligence Agency and the other intelligence agencies, they were purged. They were no longer allowed to teach what it was that inspired our enemies. So this is just the next logical step, but I don't think any of it ever stopped.
I wanted to get to your review of this latest evidence, what we used to call evidence, speaking of that phrase, this latest evidence against Biden Incorporated. In 2018, Jim Biden, brother, received $600,000 in loans from AmeriCorps, which was a failing rural hospital operator. Biden received the loans based on representations that his last name could open doors and that he could obtain a large investment from the Middle East based on his political connections. March of that year, AmeriCorps wired $200,000 loan, quote unquote, into Biden and Jim Biden and Sarah Biden's personal bank account, not their business account. On the same day, Jim Biden wrote a $200,000 check from the same personal bank account to Joe Biden. Just a loan repayment from one brother to another. That's it. Nothing to see here. You buy that?
Well, no, but I think as we've discussed before, I think this whole idea that we have to show personal direct payments to Joe Biden, to me, is aiming in the wrong place, because Joe Biden is the business. There would not be a business without Joe Biden. And this idea that you have to, in order to make the corruption case, you have to show the direct payment is, to me, just a wrong way of thinking about it. But that said,
but it helps.
I do think that. Oh yeah, no, I'm not saying it's not helpful, but along those lines, if that's the way we're going to play it, I think the sweet spot for evidence is likely to be the period from late 2016 into 2018, because I think what happened there is everybody thought Hillary Clinton was going to be elected president, and Biden thought his political career was effectively over.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't have, I don't think they had dreams of him running for president at that point, because Hillary was going to be president for 8 years. So he was thinking no one was ever going to investigate him, obviously, for any of this stuff. And he was never going to be in public office again, so he didn't have to worry about people hounding him, because he was going to be kind of irrelevant. So if they did stupid, really, really stupid things, like even stupider than Burisma and some of the Chinese stuff, I think we're likely to find it in that late 2016 to early 2018 period before he decided to run for president again.
Andrew McCarthy, I wanted to ask you about Sidney Powell's, her guilty plea. What was your first impression?
That it's all misdemeanors. I thought this whole, I wrote at the time, Amy, that the RICO, I've done a bunch of RICO cases. This RICO doesn't make any sense to me. It's not a RICO. And she's now disposed of 3 cases, and no one's taken a RICO plea. And what usually happens with prosecutors who are trying to bring big cases is the first cooperators in the door to plead guilty, you get them to plead to everything, because that shows the public that you actually really do have a case. It puts a lot of pressure on the other defendants to plead guilty and cooperate. So she can't even get the cooperators to come in and plead guilty to the RICO, because it's absurd. I think Sidney ended up getting 6 misdemeanor pleas, and I don't carry any brief for Sidney, but I just think this case, I never said that there was no case. It looks to me like there's a couple of discrete things in there. For example, if they made false statements on documents, or if they hacked into government systems, then those could be significant crimes. But I don't think they have Trump on any of that. I don't think they have the highest ranking people in it. And she tried to throw a RICO bow on this thing. Godfather, instead of why can't you just deal with what Trump did? I mean, it doesn't have to be,
because they don't have, because one would surmise because they don't have anything. Crime. Yeah, right. So he just,
they have unsavory behavior, but they don't have crimes. And
so she's just going to
sell it as something that's not.
So she's just going to have Sidney Powell and Cheeseborough and these others just say, he made me do it. All right, jury, convict him. Right?
Yeah, well, I don't think they even have that. I'd be supposed, now maybe Cheeseborough had a conversation with Trump. I doubt it. I think he talked to Giuliani. And I do think there was something funky going on with the fake electors, in the sense that I think the fake electors were told that they weren't misrepresenting themselves as the electors. On January 6th, nobody thought those people were alternative slates of electors. But I think they were told that they were just provisional or contingent in the event that Trump won his lawsuits. Whereas I think the higher guys, like the advisors, like Cheeseborough and Rudy and the rest of these guys, thought of having the alternative electors as something they could argue to Congress as a pretext for not counting the votes of those states. So I don't think it was the same agreement even among the various people who were charged in that. But again, we wouldn't, if the riot hadn't happened, we wouldn't even be talking about this, because nobody took those slates seriously on January 6th. Nobody did.
Andy McCarthy, former Chief Assistant U.S. Attorney, Southern District of Manhattan, contributing editor at National Review, author of Ball of Collusion, The Plot to Rig an Election and Destroy a Presidency. Andy, thank you as always.
Have a great week, guys.
Thanks, you too. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer. You're smart, you're busy, and don't have time to waste on the mainstream media cycle. Salem News Channel breaks that cycle. Topics that matter from hosts worth watching. Dinesh D'Souza, Andrew Wilkow, Brandon Tatum, and more. Open debate and free speech you won't find anywhere else. Salem News Channel. Not like the other guys. Watch anytime on any screen. Free 24/7. Find everything you need to know at snc.tv. That's snc.tv.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
Hi, my name is Peg. I'm a wife, mother, and grandmother. Family is so important to me, and I want to stay healthy so that I can continue to do the things that I enjoy doing with all of them. I would recommend Balance of Nature. It's so easy to do every day. I feel great, and who doesn't want to feel great?
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
AM 560. The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Former U.S. Customs and Border Protection Commissioner Mark Morgan on the border, both north and south. We've got a development on our northern border. We'll talk to Mark about at 7:37.
And 4 more buses of immigrants coming to Chicago Saturday and Sunday. It's never going to end. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Dan and Amy, right now it is 7:32 on AM 560, The Answer. Israel's military is again urging Palestinian civilians to leave northern Gaza to avoid being caught up in expected fighting. During a Sunday briefing, an IDF senior spokesperson warned, quote, "You're risking your lives if you do not leave." Israel's military says they are ramping up and intensifying attacks as they prepare for a presumed ground invasion. Meantime, the U.S. is increasing its military presence in the Middle East as the war continues.
If any group or any country is looking to widen this conflict and take advantage of this very unfortunate situation that we see, our advice is don't.
And Secretary of State Antony Blinken says Israel cannot let Hamas terrorists stay in a position to be able to launch attacks.
Israel has both the right and even the obligation not only to defend itself, but to try to make sure that, to the best of its ability, this can't happen again.
House Republicans are set to meet tonight in their latest efforts to find a speaker. Former Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, backing Majority Whip Tom Emmer.
We got a wide open southern border. We got crushing inflation. We got war in the Middle East. This is not a moment in time to play around with learning on the job.
Emmer is a longtime Minnesota congressman. A manhunt continues for a suspect accused of shooting 2 Tennessee police officers. Police in Laverne near Nashville say both officers are in stable condition. They were shot Saturday afternoon by a man, the estranged son of the Nashville police chief. Rookie backup Tyson Bagent led the Bears to a 30-12 win over the Raiders at Soldier Field. Bears have won 2 of 3. Cook County Sheriff's Office is expected to announce a record number of human trafficking-related charges this afternoon. Sheriff Tom Dart says the charges are a result of efforts by the Vice and Internet Crimes Against Children Division. 2 Waukegan men are in custody after one allegedly threw a bottle at a sheriff's deputy and another tried to punch out an officer as authorities broke up a large party early Sunday in unincorporated Round Lake. Deputy Chief Chris Cavelli says Ramon Baserto threw that beer bottle. The other man, Jarvian Allen, attempted to punch out a Round Lake police sergeant. Then, after being transported to jail, threatened to come to one of the deputies' homes and murder him and his family. Both men this morning remain held in the Lake County Jail. ALCS heads to a Game 7 tonight in Houston. Rangers beat the Astros 9-2 in Game 6. Tonight, the Phillies will try to punch their ticket to the World Series, squaring off against the Diamondbacks. Blackhawks lost to Vegas over the weekend, while the Bulls open up the NBA regular season, tipping off against Oklahoma City on Wednesday. The news, a service of StarCase. When you need to protect your valuable equipment, put it in a StarCase, the most dependable road cases you can buy. Go to starcase.com to order your case. Now, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
November 2nd, 2020, marked the 100th anniversary of the first commercial radio broadcast. We're still here, and we're bigger and better than ever. You can still listen to us over this great radio station, but now there are no limitations. Your smartphone is now your smart radio. Listen to us online on the app, TuneIn.com, iHeartRadio, and Odyssey.com. Your smart speaker can find us too. With radio, there is no separation anxiety. We're always on. AM 560, The Answer.
Guys, if you've noticed a lack of energy, motivation, and drive, it could be due to low testosterone. Schedule your health assessment with my friends at Low T Center. They now offer the convenience of monitored self-inject at-home testosterone treatments for $155 a month cash pay or covered by most health insurance. If you don't live near a Low T Center or you just need the convenience of at-home treatment, Low T Center makes it easy, shipping your treatments directly to you with the peace of mind of monitored treatment. Go to lowtcenter.com now to book online. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
My name is Ruthie. I love helping people. There's so many people that are down. Sometimes all it takes is a piece of pie to make the sunshine come in their life again. And with the help of Balance of Nature, it's making it more fun and giving me more energy. And I would really like to thank Balance of Nature. These are mine for life.
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Some save money for one big dream vacation. I take the kids camping twice a year.
For me, what's most important is sharing with my community members in need.
My financial goals? Expect the unexpected and plan accordingly.
At Thrivent, we believe money is a tool, not a goal. Driven by a higher purpose at our core for more than 100 years, we offer expert financial advice that starts with what's important to you. Visit Thrivent.com to learn more.
You can't live forever, but your legacy can. For over 185 years, families have trusted Catholic Cemeteries of Chicago with 47 locations throughout Cook and Lake counties to set their legacies in stone. A prepaid cemetery plan locks in today's prices and safeguards against rising inflation. Visit CatholicCemeteryChicago.org or call 708-236-5490 to schedule a free consultation today.
Exergen thermometers are a top choice of medical professionals at highly ranked hospitals across the U.S. Accuracy matters, so make Exergen the chosen thermometer for your home and family.
7:39, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. We'll start on the Stevenson, where it's a bad time of morning to have a bad situation on the outbound side of the Stevenson. It's completely shut down, the Stevenson at Central, due to a much earlier fatal accident and the ongoing investigation. The accident happened closer to Harlem Avenue. Traffic is diverted off at Central, and it's causing gapers to the inbound side of the Stevenson, right at between First Avenue and Central, 50 minutes inbound to DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Due to an earlier accident inbound between First and Ogden, The Eisenhower is at 61 minutes from 390 into the old post office. The Kennedy this morning, due to an earlier accident near Montrose, 74 minutes in from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Partly sunny to mostly cloudy off and on throughout the day. We may see a shower in spots by the afternoon. High of 64, 58 overnight, and a much warmer day tomorrow, a high of 78. 44 right now at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. The Telegraph reporting across the pond. An asylum seeker bent on avenging deaths in Gaza has carried out a suspected terrorist attack in Britain. The public has not been told that the man who came to the UK in 2020 told police he had done it for Palestine. This is being reported in the Telegraph. Douglas Murray picked it up. They won't disclose what exactly was done, only that an attack had already taken place. Security source, they may be downplaying it so they don't have repeat attacks or copycat attacks. This was last week after, earlier in the week, a Tunisian man who shot dead two Swedish football fans in Brussels, soccer fans in Brussels, had arrived in Europe on a boat that landed on the Italian island of Lampedusa. The incident led to political debate in Europe over whether porous borders pose a security risk amid instability in the Middle East. Gee, I wonder. Christopher Wray on 60 Minutes last night said, if you see something, say something. People and communities are our best line of defense in terms of communication about any potential security threats. Okay, how about if I just show you pictures of Eagle Pass, Texas, and I point to them, Director Wray, say there's a security threat. Would that help? For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by Mark Morgan, who is former U.S. Customs and Border Protection Commissioner. Mark, thanks for being with us again. Appreciate it.
You bet. Hey, real quick, how about the best line of defense is that we secure our southern border? How about we start with that?
Oh, it's too simple of an answer. I mean, it would make too much sense.
Yeah, I mean the threat level here with respect to the border, and just what we know about the number of encounters law enforcement has had over this fiscal year with persons known to be on our terrorist watch list.
Yeah, this is critically important. So if I can, what happened in Israel should be a wake-up call. Two major areas, a lot more, but here's two major. One is it should tell every American, wake up, that global terrorism is alive and well. And the same Islamic extremists that carried out the atrocities against Israel, again, the worst attack against Jews since the Holocaust, that same ideology, the same terrorist groups, their commitment is unwavering to bring death and destruction to our homeland. Second, it was a colossal intelligence failure. I don't mean that for attribution, just reality. And as good as the United States intelligence community is, Dan and Amy, and it's good, it is not infallible. So this should wake up our country, and they have to look no further than our wide open southwest border. Three things real quick. So we've had Director Wray say before that the wide open border poses a significant security threat in his opinion. We had a DHS intel report that came out just before the October 7th attacks, and people haven't paid attention to it, where they said, quote, terrorists and criminals will exploit the wide open southwest border. And last night, I think it was a Daily Caller, just reported on a Customs and Border Protection Office of Intelligence out of San Diego that said that foreign fighters could be inspired, or reacting to what's happening in Israel and attempt to travel and enter our country illegally. Dan, Amy, you guys, we talk about this. Well, you know it. It's not a matter of if and when the threat comes. It's already here.
And last week alone, they've got at the border in Eagle Pass, they captured somebody from Jordan and somebody from Syria that were on the terrorist watch list. So do you know how many total people they've, apprehended?
736 terrorist suspects stopped at the border this year.
What?
736 terrorist suspects stopped at the border this year, according to U.S. Customs and Border Protection.
Yeah, if you add in September, which, by the way, they just released the numbers on Saturday. Wonder why, because they wanted to bury that. So this year, counting September, again, they just released it, 172. Throughout the term so far in Biden in 34 months, 286. 286 illegal aliens on the FBI's terror watch list. But Amy, to your point, that's separate from what you just talked about. So what you're talking about are what we call SIA, special interest aliens. And what reason we call them that is because they're coming from countries that we know have connections to, harbor, or are facilitating terrorist organizations. In the last 34 months, we've apprehended people from 160, 170 different countries. Many of them harbor terrorism. We've apprehended tens of thousands of special interest aliens. And here's the kicker. We're releasing a lot of them. This is absurd. When are we going to stop putting the wants and interests of those coming to our border ahead of actually securing our border?
You know what's interesting, too, this announcement by Governor Sununu in New Hampshire, because the federal government refuses to take action on our northern border, he wrote, they cut funding, limited resources, and have thrown up their hands. Without adequate federal support, the state is stepping up. In meeting with law enforcement up north, it's clear we need more targeted resources. He's leading sort of a northern border action team, including, I think it was $1.5 million of New Hampshire taxpayer funds, a la sort of Greg Abbott in the South, to provide border security on with respect to New Hampshire's portion of our northern border, where the federal government won't do that. And I mean, I understand the northern border doesn't have the same problems as the southern border, but having any border be porous is an invitation for, at least in part, people who mean to do America harm.
That's exactly right. And what I would say, first of all, the governor is absolutely right in doing this. What I would say is although it's different in the sense of numbers, obviously, the sheer numbers and volumes coming through the northern border isn't the southern border, but it still poses a significant risk. I mean, remember, it only took 19 individuals, 19 terrorists that carried the worst terrorist attack, against our homeland in 9/11. And people forget, the southwest border, we share about 2,000 miles with Mexico, and the northern border, we share 5,000 miles of linear border with Canada. It's actually the largest shared border between two nations in the world, in my understanding. So it poses a threat as well. And we know that there are individuals in Canada that have ties to terrorism, and we know our northern border is absolutely porous. So that's why I say it's not just a southern border thing. It is a nation's border thing. And think about this. Just real quick. Anybody listening? Somebody coming from, let's say, Lebanon, which we know, right, supports Hezbollah. If somebody of military age, say 30 years old, comes in illegal or the southwest border, do they have stamped on their forehead, I support Hezbollah or I don't support Hezbollah? No, it doesn't work that way. And this isn't anti-immigrant. This isn't Islamophobia. This is reality. This is common sense. We don't have the ability to really know what that person's ideology is and whether they support Hezbollah or don't. We don't have that capability.
Do we know what the apprehension numbers are up north along the Canadian border?
We do, and that's a great question. We forget about it again because obviously southwest border, but like SWAT Inspector, for example, they've seen an increase in over 3,000% of those illegal entering. Now the numbers relatively are low compared to the southwest border, but that's still alarming. And at our ports of entry on the northern border, they encounter individuals on the FBI's terror watch list on a regular basis. Again, that's who we encounter. Our focus, that should not be, the numbers are shocking, represents the magnitude of the problem. But what we should really be focused on is who and what we're not catching. In the past 34 months, I know we've talked about this, 1.6 million known gotaways. I mean, there are 12 states in our country whose population is less than that. We've literally added a 51st state of gotaways. And how many aliens on the FBI's terror watch list are special interest aliens are among the 1.6 million known gotaways? Well, I know there's a heck of a lot. Why? Because I've watched a protest the past 3 weeks where we have insidious comments and support for terrorist organizations happening in our own country. That didn't happen organically. We imported some of that.
Well, and it's not just those on the terrorist watch list. It's also individuals who've previously have been deported for a good reason, who get back in, and they shouldn't be back in. It's people who perhaps have been deported previously or not, but who are violent criminals. Again, of, as you say, 1.3 million gotaways. I'm not saying it's the majority. I don't know what percentage it is, but here we go again with a small percentage of a big number is a big problem, and it's so easily preventable, such that you're acting in furtherance of the interests of law-abiding American citizens and legal permanent residents to prevent them from crime that is domestic-oriented or terrorist-related.
That's right. That's right. And think about the Godaway real quick. So I agree with everything you just said. In the same 34 months, we've encountered 7.7 million total encounters. 7.7 million. The overwhelming majority of the 7.7 million literally sat down and wait for Border Patrol and they turn themselves in because they know the majority of them are going to be processed and released to the United States. So if that's the case, why do we have a Godaway? Because they know even under this administration, there's going to be a segment of people that are going to be detained and removed. Murderers, rapists, pedophiles, aggravated felons, gang members, and potential national security threats. So that's what I say. 1.6 million known Godaways. There is a large percentage of those, common sense will tell you, there are bad actors. Those where the criminals are. That's where the potential national security threats are. This is insanity. We have literally handed operational control over the cartels. We have people coming into this border that we have no idea who they are, and now they call the United States home. Yeah, that's a concern.
What's your perspective on the shipment of migrants from Texas and to a lesser extent Florida to sanctuary cities and sanctuary states like New York and Chicago and elsewhere? Do you view that as a political stunt, or how do you view that? Do you think it's been helpful in terms of making this a national issue rather than just a border state issue, or not?
Yeah, that's a great question. Right out in front, I think I was among a handful that was saying it was genius. We even had some conservatives that were like being wishy-washy whether it's a political stunt or not. And here's one of the main reasons why I said it then, and I'll say it now. I said, look, this is going to keep this issue above the top fold, right? This is going to keep the issue in the narrative, and it worked. And we've seen it. I mean, New York literally they've been losing their mind with the number of illegal aliens that have now flooded their state, one of the most cities, one of the most richest, most powerful cities in the universe, and they're crying uncle, they can't handle it. And so it's really kept it in the attention. Here's the only downside to it, though, is that I think there's been an overly focus on the illegal alien itself rather than what it causes. Right? The reason why we're so focused on illegal immigration is because it pulls resources off the front line away from the law enforcement and national security mission because they're relegated to administrative duties processing millions of illegal aliens. That leaves our borders wide open. The cartels gain operational control, and that's when criminals, drugs, and potential national security threats come in. And lastly, let's make no mistake. Those sanctuary cities, they're not blaming the Biden administration. They're not calling for a reverse course in action. They're not calling to secure the border. They're just asking for more of your money to manage the crisis after it's already been here rather than prevented it from entering.
Mark Morgan, former U.S. Customs and Border Protection Commissioner. Mark, thank you as always.
You bet. Thank you both.
Thank you, and he joined us on our Turnkey.pro answer line.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
Wireless headphones. That'll be $200.
I'll use my Capital One Quicksilver card.
Now that's a hit. You used the Capital One Quicksilver card, which makes you the hero of every purchase. With Quicksilver, you earn unlimited 1.5% cash back on every purchase everywhere.
I wanted running music, but unlimited 1.5% cash back is pretty heroic.
Good instincts. Every hero needs a theme song. The Capital One Quicksilver card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
All right, rain's coming. I don't know how much, but are you going to be ready? Is your basement and crawl space going to be ready? Because you don't want your basement to be dry some of the time. You want it to be dry all of the time. And that's where our good friends at Permaseal come in. You know, they hear story after story from homeowners who say their basement only leaks when it rains, and the forecast calls for more rain. Well, you don't worry about your living room or bedroom getting wet, then you should feel the same way about your basement. The Permaseal team believes your basement and crawl space should be dry 100% of the time, no matter how hard it rains. So just give them a call for a free estimate. 800-421-SEAL, 800-421-SEAL. Know that you're getting the best value for a permanently dry basement and a healthy home. 800-421-7325 or visit permaseal.net. That's permaseal.net.
At TJ Stearns Financial Planning in Arlington Heights, we offer several complimentary reports proactive investors should take advantage of before year end. Our Social Security Optimization Report shows couples how to possibly get up to $200,000 or more in additional lifetime benefits. Our Retirement Account Tax Optimization Report shows how to minimize the tax bill on your 401k and IRAs. This report could help you save hundreds of thousands of dollars or more in taxes over your lifetime. Our risk analysis makes sure your portfolio is in alignment with your goals. The Protect and Grow written plan brings all of these items together. Call now to request any of these free reports before the end of year rush puts proactive planning for this year in the rearview mirror. Contact TJ Stearns Financial Planning today. The first 10 callers right now will also receive a free copy of the new book, Solving the Modern Retirement Riddle. Call now to receive your free retirement report and book. 847-749-2295. That's 847-749-2295. Or visit tjstearns.com.
Securities offered through TJ Stearns, a registered representative of Crown Capital Securities LP, member FINRA SIPC.
Hey, is this a new thing, Dan? We're just learning now that Meryl Streep and her husband have been separated for more than 6 years. Just like the Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't care very much.
Okay,
and,
I didn't think...
and I don't think Hollywood is where you should look for, role models when it comes to anything other than acting.
Right, and that goes for Justin, who's newly married, just back from his honeymoon. And Justin, you said that you did not take Balance of Nature during your honeymoon. What is wrong with you?
I didn't, but the amount of fresh fruits and vegetables we ate down there was insane.
Oh, that's awesome. And you were not all-inclusive, so you can have as much as you want. But you know what? Most Americans, most Chicagoans and Illinoisans don't eat the daily allowance of fruits and vegetables, and that's where Balance of Nature comes in. 31 whole fruits and vegetables, real food, real science, real nutrition. People who take it love it. They have increased energy. Skin looks great. Hair's thick. Nails are strong. So get the nutrition your body needs. And when you give your body the best possible fuel, you do have more energy. You're stronger. You can think more quickly. The number to call, 800-246-8751. That's 800-246-8751. Use discount code Chicago or simply go online to balanceofnature.com. Discount code Chicago.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank, a bank where relationships still matter. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hey all, Jim Carr here. I am the owner of Carr Machine and Tool in Elk Grove Village and loyal customer of Signature Bank. As a second-generation owner, I knew I had to shift from operating as an old-school machine shop to what I can proudly say is now one of the fastest-growing aerospace manufacturing facilities in the region. Signature Bank was there every step of the way through our expansion efforts, including financing our new state-of-the-art facility. Their valuable industry expertise and constant communication throughout the construction process made our vision possible. Many thanks to Signature Bank for supporting Carr Machine and Tool. You set the bar high for other banks.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature Bank can help turn your business vision into reality? Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Lots of channels, nothing to watch, especially if you're looking outside of big corporate control. It's time to interrupt your regularly scheduled programs with something worth watching. The new Salem News Channel. Straightforward, unfiltered, in-depth insight and analysis from the greatest collection of conservative minds, all in one place. SNC is home to Dennis Prager, Mike Gallagher, Sebastian Gorka, and more. Watch anytime on any screen. Free 24/7. Find what you're looking for at snc.tv. AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll get a reaction to what the Five Eyes had to say about the Chi-Coms, as well as an explanation as to why the Israel-Hamas conflict may not engulf the Middle East. Kenneth Pollack from the American Enterprise Institute at 8:08.
But now straight into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
A person killed in a crash on the Stevenson Expressway this morning and one in custody after incidents near Israel rallies. WIND Chicago News Time. 8 o'clock.
More Israeli airstrikes in Gaza. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News, and more than 5,000 Palestinians are now reported by the Gaza Health Ministry to have died in Israeli strikes since the Hamas terrorist attacks in Israel October 7th. President Biden released a joint statement with the leaders of Canada, France, Germany, Italy, and the United Kingdom, welcoming the release of 2 American hostages from Gaza, reiterating the right of Israel to defend itself, and urging Israel to protect civilians. The president also spoke again with Israel's leader.
Regarding that call with Prime Minister Netanyahu, the White House said this, quote, the leaders affirmed that they will now be continuing flow of this critical assistance into Gaza. The president expressed appreciation for Israel's support in helping to accommodate the release of 2 American hostages. That release happened Friday. Of course, President Biden spoke with the mother and daughter by phone before departing for Delaware. We saw that happen on Friday. And the administration is still trying to sort out how many of the 10 Americans that are still unaccounted for, how many of them are being held hostage by Hamas in Gaza, or how many of the 10 are already dead.
Fox's Alexandria Hoff. A third convoy of aid trucks is being sent in from Egypt to Gaza, but with no fuel, and hospitals report scrounging to keep generators and life-saving medical equipment running. There's a closed-door meeting this evening for House Republicans to hear from 9 candidates for House Speaker, including Kevin Hern from Oklahoma.
You actually have to know what the problems are before you can come up with a solution, and I think I'm best fit to do that.
Congressman Hern on Fox and Friends First. Former President Trump's civil business fraud trial in New York City is adjourned for today due to COVID exposures. The manhunt continues for the Nashville police chief's son, wanted for shooting at 2 police officers investigating a stolen vehicle outside a store in Laverne, Tennessee. That's a Nashville suburb. Those officers survived. Chief John Drake says that he's had minimal contact with his 38-year-old son, John Jr., over many years, that they're estranged, and that he now needs to be found and held accountable for his actions. America's listening to Fox News.
46 degrees, clouds, and a little bit of sunshine at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A person killed in a crash along the Stevenson Expressway in the outbound lanes. We've been told by Illinois State Police the crash occurred around 2 a.m. in the outbound lanes just south of Harlem Avenue. All lanes of the expressway remain shut down, and traffic is being diverted off at Central Avenue. Cook County Sheriff's Office is expected to announce a record number of human trafficking-related charges later this afternoon. Sheriff Tom Dart says the charges are the result of efforts by the Vice and Internet Crimes Against Children units throughout the month of October. The long nightmare in captivity for an Evanston mother and daughter taken by Hamas during their deadly terror attacks on Israel has come to an end. IDF forces confirmed the 2 were released to the Red Cross, identified as Judith Renan and her 17-year-old daughter. As the conflict between Israel and Hamas rages on, 6 Chicago area synagogues have joined together to donate an ambulance.
When we started this last year, we were hopeful that it would be used for things like taking pregnant women to the hospital.
That's Rabbi Ike Serrata. State Representative Bob Morgan chairs the Jewish caucus in Springfield.
There's a lot of darkness in the world, especially over the last few weeks, but today is a breath of fresh air and a little bit of light.
The ambulance was on display during a dedication Sunday in Highland Park. Chicago sports. Rookie backup quarterback Tyson Bagent led the Bears to a 30-12 win over the Raiders at Soldier Field. Blackhawks gave up 3 goals in the third and a 5-3 loss to Vegas on Saturday. The Bulls now in full prep mode for the regular NBA season opener against OKC on Wednesday. The news service of Advanced Design Studio. Thinking of a home renovation but not sure where to begin? Check out Common Sense Remodeling with Advanced Design Studio online at advanceddesignstudio.com. 8:04 time for the AM 560 Business Beat. It is a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. And now the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Stuart Varney, and this is the Fox Business Report.
You've been paying more for gas. That has pushed up energy company earnings and stock prices. Now there's a second major oil company merger. Chevron is buying Hess for $53 billion. The deal is expected to diversify Chevron's holdings, adding operations in Guyana and boosting its U.S. shale operations. ExxonMobil also recently announced a deal to buy Pioneer Natural Resources. Apple supplier Foxconn Technology says it is cooperating with Chinese authorities after reports that it's being investigated for tax and land use issues. Foxconn is based in Taiwan. Its founder is a candidate for president of Taiwan. And J. Peterman, the clothing company parodied in Seinfeld, is planning a stock launch on the NASDAQ. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Cosola. Invested in you.
I'm Dave Nissen, CEO of PKF Mueller. As a CPA firm, we have been serving our business clients since 1968 by providing audit, accounting, tax, advisory, and consulting services. We as trusted advisors go beyond what our clients hired us to do by thinking outside the box to understand their operations and industry. We want to discover ways to increase their net income and cash flow by reducing costs or increasing efficiencies. To this end, PKF Mueller provides several client value-added services through strategic relationships. Our partners are specialists and serve the same type of clients that we do and add value by reducing our clients' overall electric and gas costs, discovering inaccuracies and overcharges on utility bills, assisting in financing of real estate, and helping to reduce uncollectible accounts and bad debt expenses. To learn more about our value-added service providers and how we can assist, call me directly at 630-524-5274 or dnissen@pkfmueller.com.
All right, Christmas will be here before we know it. If you're looking for a really special gift, I encourage you to check out the firearms made right here in America by our great friends at Henry Repeating Arms. Now, you start by going to their website, henryusa.com, order their free holiday gift guide, and they'll mail it with free decals that you can use for stocking stuffers. Perfect timing. Folks, when you give someone a Henry, you're giving them a work of art that is built with the finest craftsmanship I've ever seen as a collector. Now, their performance is top-notch. Mine were accurate, all of them, right out of the box. They shoot smooth and straight, and they have been reliable ever since. They have over 200 models of rifles and shotguns and revolvers to choose from. One of the things I like the most about these firearms, they're family heirlooms. They'll always be backed by the company's lifetime warranty. So if you want to put something that's made in America under the tree this Christmas, henryusa.com. Get their free gift guide and their decals today. That's henryusa.com. You will love this company.
8:07. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg traffic center time. The Edens really stacking up now. 40 minutes, Lake Cook Road to the junction. The Kennedy, due to an earlier accident between Montrose and Kimball, is at 70 minutes. O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike on the inbound side right now, 63 from 390 to the old post office, especially heavy between First and Ogden due to a much earlier accident. Same story on the Stevenson inbound. You have gapers to an outbound accident and closure. It's 42 from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. It's because a lot of traffic is being diverted off. Folks just not using the Stevenson this morning. Outbound completely shut down right at Central, and traffic is diverted off due to a much earlier fatal accident closer to Harlem Avenue, and things continue to be delayed there. Inbound Dan Ryan, 39, 95th into the Burns Circle interchange. Tri-State accident, 2 left lanes blocked between northbound near the Stevenson Expressway. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Andy Robb.
Cloudy today. You'll see a shower in spots in the afternoon, high 64. An evening shower, then clouds tonight, low 58. Clouds and sunshine. Breezy for Tuesday, the high tomorrow, 78. Wednesday, high 70. I'm Andy Robb on AM 560, The Answer.
We're at 46 officially at O'Hare. Next news, 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So last night on 60 Minutes, it was the first convening for a group interview of the Five Eyes, and Scott Pelley was giddy with enthusiasm over the prospect.
Such
Five
a
Eyes.
weird segment, wasn't it?
Five Eyes are the essentially top G-men for the U.S., Australia, New Zealand, Canada, the UK.
They look like superheroes walking down the street. I mean, it was so goofy. It's the Five Eyes. I'm Scott Pelley.
So the topic was, in part, at least with Christopher Wray representing the United States, in part it was about the conflict between Israel and Hamas and what we're doing about the hostages and what we're doing to protect the homeland. And it was just bromides. And frankly, you know, as momentous as this gathering was supposed to be, they were out talking to CEOs in Silicon Valley. There was a lot of cliches. Their focus was not Ukraine. Their focus was not Israel. Their focus was Communist China. And that's why they were out in Palo Alto and in Silicon Valley, Palo Alto at Stanford, and then in Silicon Valley to talk to these CEOs in tech. As Christopher Wray explained, from his perspective, the global espionage threat the Chinese communists present.
The technology secrets that are about to change the world in artificial intelligence, biology, and computing are falling into the wrong hands, stolen in a global espionage campaign by China.
The People's Republic of China represents the defining threat of this generation and this era. There is no country that presents a broader, more comprehensive threat to our ideas, our innovation, our economic security, and ultimately our national security. We have seen efforts by the Chinese government, directly or indirectly, trying to steal intellectual property, trade secrets, personal data, all across the country. We're talking everything from Fortune 100 companies all to small startups. We're talking about agriculture, biotech, healthcare, robotics, aviation, academic research. We probably have somewhere in the order of 2,000 active investigations that are just related to the Chinese government's effort to steal information.
Don't tell that to LeBron James. The British's MI5 director, he offered more context to this in terms of how the Chinese communists operate, efforting to compromise employees of sensitive businesses, both big ones as well as startups in sensitive technological spaces.
So we see the theft happening in a range of ways. One is that we see employees within those companies being manipulated. Often in the first instance, they are not aware of what is happening. We have seen, for example, the use of professional networking sites to reach out in sort of masked, disguised ways to people in the UK, either who have security clearance or who are working in interesting areas of technology. We've now seen over 20,000 examples of that kind of disguised approach to people in the UK who have information that the Chinese state wishes to get its hands on.
Sure, we've seen that here with Eric Swalwell falling for the honeypot. No, we get it. And also this has particular relevance to Illinois. Chinese communist companies overseen by the People's Republic. You know, I don't know, like perhaps an electric vehicle battery plant in Manteno, Illinois.
The intelligence chiefs told us Chinese companies are overseen by the Communist Party, and for many, espionage is a sideline on behalf of the PRC, the People's Republic of China.
Is the Chinese government building industrial sites in your countries that are actually covers for espionage operations?
David Vigneault of Canada.
We have seen in the past acquisition of land, acquisition of different companies, where when you start to dig a little bit further, you realize that there is another intent And we have seen and blocked attempt by the PRC to acquire locations near sensitive strategic assets of the country where we knew that the ultimate purpose was for spying operations.
Somebody's going to have to tell the Five Eyes that according to the governor of Illinois, anybody who would raise any such questions is a xenophobe. So what you saw there are apparently 5 xenophobes. That's according to Governor Pritzker. Ken Pollack is a senior fellow at the American Enterprise Institute and author of Armies of Sand, The Past, Present, and Future of Arab Military Effectiveness. Ken Pollack, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on, Ben.
One of the other things that the Chinese communists have done recently is move half a dozen warships to the Middle East to make sure their presence is felt there as that conflict develops, right?
Absolutely. I mean, look, this is something that we've been seeing for really the past couple of decades, and especially in the last few years, which is, China is expanding its global presence. It is particularly focused on the Middle East. To some extent, it's on economic considerations. They've got a lot of deals out there. They certainly get a tremendous amount of their oil, but that oil really is translating into a strategic interest in the Middle East. And the Chinese want to make sure that if there is ever a war with the United States, say over Taiwan, that they can lock down their interests in the Middle East. And it's playing into China getting involved in the Middle East in a whole variety of different ways. Some somewhat helpful, others much more unhelpful. And in the recent crisis, they've taken, in effect, Hamas's side fully as a way of kind of driving a wedge between the United States and its Arab allies.
And so is this, we talked about this with the invasion, the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Does this unrest, war, really, in Gaza, does this provide that much more incentive for Xi to move on Taiwan in the not-too-distant future?
Potentially, absolutely. This is one of these circumstances where, again, there are all these well-meaning people who are saying, let's have a ceasefire. We got to have a ceasefire. We don't want any more people to die. And obviously, nobody wants more Palestinian civilians to die. Nobody should want any more Israeli civilians to die as well. But we need to recognize that right now, Hamas and Iran have won huge victories. Right? They have taken Israel by surprise. They slaughtered 1,300 Israelis, again, including women, children, infants, the elderly. Just a horrific action. Shutting down that war now simply hands that victory to Hamas and Iran. And if they believe that they can win more of these, they'll keep doing it. And I have no doubt that the Chinese are watching carefully. If the West is not willing to defend its interests, that will be a very important signal to the Chinese about Taiwan.
Colin Rugg, who a lot of people follow on Twitter, he said that China has reportedly deployed multiple warships to the Middle East region. Mm-hmm. Is this true? And how many? He's reporting up to 6 Chinese warships are being deployed to that area.
Yeah, I don't have the numbers, Amy, but that sounds right to me. And again, it's exactly what you would expect. The Chinese are taking a much greater interest in the area. They are looking for opportunities to advance their own interests, typically at the expense of our own.
You suggest in Peace and Foreign Affairs that this conflict between Israel and Hamas could be limited. It doesn't have to necessarily spill over into southern Lebanon with Hezbollah, into Yemen with the Houthis, into Iran with the mullahs. So obviously the conflagration is the concern. Why is there some prospect that it could be more limited?
Yeah, I think this is very important, Dan. And first, let me start by saying, one, wars are unpredictable. I would never say don't be worried about escalation. And two, I've been warning for years about the potential for a region-wide war. But in this case, I think that it's important to recognize that there's already a lot of evidence that both Iran and Hezbollah are not looking to fight Israel. And that should not tie our hands. It should not tie Israel's hands. That's one of the things I'm worried about. The biggest, most important piece of evidence that I can cite in favor of that is Iran, and because of Iran, therefore Hezbollah, knew about this attack beforehand. So if they had wanted to, they could have joined Hamas in the original attack on October 7th. That was the time for them to have attacked Israel if they wanted to do so. That was when Israel was most surprised, when it was least prepared, when it was least able to defend itself. Had Iran and or Hezbollah joined in that initial attack on October 7th, the damage to Israel probably would have been an order of magnitude greater. So again, if they wanted to fight with Israel, that was the time to do it. It's very clear that they're not looking for that fight. They understand how powerful Israel is. Unlike Hamas, they're not ready for that Israeli response. And so I think that what that signals is that the likely Iranian and Hezbollah participation in this war is going to be limited. They'll do a bunch of stuff, but like we're already seeing, they might do somewhat more. You're not going to see a Hezbollah ground offensive into Israel. They really have no capability to do so now, especially now that Israel has fully alerted its forces. You may see more rocket fire, but right now that's my best guess as to what you're likely to see. And again, for that reason, we shouldn't let this threat of escalation, which you know has been tying the Biden administration's hands constantly over aid to Ukraine. We should not allow the same thing to tie either our hands or Israel's hands when dealing with Hamas.
Well, these other actors, terrorist organizations like Hezbollah, are they maybe just being more circumspect? They want to see how the West reacts. They want to see how the Arab world reacts before they, run headlong into Panzer fire the way that Hamas is.
To some extent. But again, if they wanted to do this, they could have participated on October 7th. They would have done enormous damage to Israel. Again, they might choose to get involved, but what's really important, especially for Hezbollah, is how Israel responds. And they've experienced that beforehand. They saw it during the Second Lebanon War of 2006. And it's very important to remember that while the world remembers the Second Lebanon War of 2006 as a humiliating Israeli defeat, which at a political level it was, at a military level, Israel still did tremendous damage to Hezbollah, so much so that Hezbollah's leader, Hassan Nasrallah, afterwards famously gave an interview in which he said, if I had known how Israel was going to respond, I never would have done it in the first place. Right? They're still in that
that's where
mode.
You want them. Yeah, that's where you want them, that's for sure.
Is it true that the Egyptians, though, warned the IDF that, hey, that we're hearing chatter that an attack might take place?
As a former CIA officer, these are the kinds of things that you hear all the time. It's possible that happened. It's also possible that this is just a rumor, that this is something that the Egyptians are putting out. We will find all of this out when this is all said and done. The Israelis are always very thorough about conducting these, deeply searching probes to figure out when something went wrong, why it went wrong, and how to fix it. There's going to be one after this war. That's when we'll find out exactly what happens.
What do you think China is, how is China processing, I guess I should say, the response from the Arab world?
So I think at the moment, China is very much in a kind of wait-and-see response. I think that they look at this and they say, this was a very clever move on the part of the Iranians and Hamas, their allies. And, of course, Hamas has many similar interests as Iran, but they've also got some of their own. But from the Chinese perspective, this looks very clever on Iran's part because, again, this was a very clever way for Iran to derail the rapprochement that had been going on between Israel and the Arab states who were forming a military alliance against Iran, right? And this is Iran breaking that alliance apart. That's exactly the kind of thing that China would like to do in East Asia, right? Break apart the alliance between the United States and its allies that are trying to contain China exactly the way that Israel and the Arab states are hoping to contain Iran. So I think that the Chinese looked at that and said, this looks like a very clever gambit on Iran's part. We want to see how it turns out, which again is why it's so important that at the end of this, Hamas be seen to have failed miserably, because that's the only way you're going to convince whether it's the Iranians or the Chinese, or for that matter, the Russians or other aggressive countries, that you cannot succeed in this fashion.
He is Ken Pollack, Senior Fellow at the American Enterprise Institute, author of Armies of Sand, The Past, Present, and Future of Arab Military Effectiveness. Ken Pollack, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me on.
Thank you, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
I'd like to tell you about something that speaks to the very core of our values as Americans, a veteran-owned company on a mission to make a real difference in the lives of our military members. Talking about Pure Talk. Our veterans gave everything to protect our nation, and Pure Talk understands the sacrifices they've made. They've set an ambitious goal to eliminate $10 million in military debt by Veterans Day, and they need your help. When you switch to Pure Talk's lightning-fast 5G network, they'll donate a portion of every new order to this cause. You could make a real difference just by choosing this wonderful cell phone service. And Pure Talk's plans start at just $20 a month, offering unlimited talk, text, more data, and a mobile hotspot. Just dial pound 250, pound 250, and say the keyword Dennis Prager to make the switch. Dial pound 250 and say Dennis Prager to switch to Pure Talk today.
Have you been searching for a Napa Valley quality winery experience closer to home? A hidden gem awaits you at Bishop's Hill Winery in Joliet. Come experience fine wine, history, and castles. Stay to enjoy the Bishop's Hill Tasting Room to round out a perfect day. The Bishop's Hill Castle is easily accessible in nearby Joliet. This facility was home to a former brewery in the 1860s and is located on a hill with a commanding view where you'll enjoy sampling some of the highest-rated wines in the world. Bishop's Hill wines are made from California grapes and sustainably grown. These wines have received Best in Class Gold and Double Gold awards at the San Francisco Chronicle North American Wine Competition. Now is your opportunity to stock up for the holidays and purchase national award-winning wine from Joliet-based Bishop's Hill Winery. If you want the Napa experience without the cost, look no further. Group discounts are available, and the Bishop's Hill Castle is also ready to host your next event for your family or business. Visit online at bishopshill.com. That's bishopshill.com.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
Hi, my name is Peg. I'm a wife, mother, and grandmother. Family is so important to me, and I want to stay healthy so that I can continue to do the things that I enjoy doing with all of them. I would recommend Balance of Nature. It's so easy to do every day. I feel great, and who doesn't want to feel great?
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. Your business and your money are in good hands with Signature Bank. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Nick Philippus, co-owner of Joe Donut and a proud customer of Signature Bank. We're a locally owned artisan donut shop that focuses on chef-made small batch and craft donuts. We have 7 locations around the Chicagoland suburbs, with an 8th location coming soon. After opening our original stores in Glenview and Niles, we came to Signature Bank for financing for our new Mount Prospect location. From PPP and material delays in construction, Signature Bank was flexible and truly a banking partner that a small business like ours hadn't experienced before. Even their fraud department was able to stop a $30,000 fraudulent check from clearing our account. That allowed us to focus on selling donuts, knowing Signature Bank had our back.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality. Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Before he came to By the Hand Club for Kids, Travis was actively in a gang. He didn't think God was interested in his life. After he came to By the Hand, his life was transformed. By the Hand spared no expense in showing they're all about Jesus. They care about kids, mind, body, and soul. Learn more at salem.bythehand.org. That's salem.bythehand.org.
Hi, this is Carl Amari.
I'm Lisa Wolf. Join us every Saturday night beginning at 8 p.m. for all things entertainment on Hollywood 360.
If you love classic radio shows, The Shadow, Jack Benny, The Lone Ranger, Dragnet, Gunsmoke, and many more, we have them for you on Hollywood 360.
We'll also present trivia contests with prizes, showbiz news, celebrity interviews, games, and movie reviews.
So don't miss Hollywood 360 every Saturday night beginning at 8 p.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for townhall.com. It was sobering to witness the huge pro-Palestine protests in London and Paris. In Sydney, their rally featured chants of, yes, gas the Jews. It ought to be a wake-up call. The protesters were immigrants from the Arab world. They'd come to the West, but had failed to adopt the Western values of religious tolerance and pluralism. Worse yet, none of their new countries had demanded it of them. Like the U.S., they've been under sustained cultural assault by the Marxist left. They've lost confidence their way of life is even worth defending. As the U.S. likewise confronts a massive influx of immigrants from all over the world, we need to decide. Are we willing to secure our border and insist that those who do come in, legally through the front door, accept our values and assimilate? Or are we willing to see those values eroded? The moment of decision is at hand. I'm Carol Platt-Liebau.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 8:38, does Matt Gaetz owe Republicans a mea culpa? 8:38.
Now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Dan and Amy, 8:30 on AM 560, The Answer. And for our friends who normally take the Stevenson Expressway, especially on the outbound side, on the reverse commute, it has just been a mess this morning after a much earlier fatal accident around 2 a.m. in the outbound lanes of the Stevenson, just south of Harlem Avenue. Traffic still being diverted off at Central. Illinois State Police confirmed the accident took place and the investigation continues. Israel's military is again urging Palestinian civilians to leave northern Gaza to avoid being caught up in future expected fighting. And this morning, the U.S. is increasing its military presence in the Middle East.
If any group or any country is looking to widen this conflict and take advantage of this very unfortunate situation that we see, our advice is don't.
That's Lloyd Austin. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken says Israel cannot let Hamas stay in a position to be able to launch attacks.
Israel has both the right and even the obligation not only to defend itself, but to try to make sure that, to the best of its ability, this can't happen again.
House Republicans are set to meet tonight in their latest efforts to find a speaker. Former Speaker Kevin McCarthy backing House Majority Whip Tom Emmer.
We got a wide open southern border. We got crushing inflation. We got war in the Middle East. This is not a moment in time to play around with learning on the job.
At least 9 Republican candidates have thrown their hat in the ring. A Cook County Sheriff's Office official confirms that the Sheriff's Office will announce a record number of human trafficking-related charges this afternoon. According to Sheriff Tom Dart, the charges are the result of the Vice and Internet Crimes Division against children. One person is in custody after a gun was fired and pepper spray was set off near opposing rallies backing Israel and Palestine outside a Lincolnwood Mall area yesterday evening. Police say a child has died after a shooting on the city's south side. Deputy Chief Gilberto Calderon.
About 6:30 p.m., officers responded to a shot spot alert in the area of 600 West Marquette. Upon arrival, they found a young child with a gunshot wound. Subsequently was brought into Comus Hospital, where he subsequently passed away.
Deputy Director Glenn Brooks says they're pouring resources into the grieving family and the search for clues.
As the investigation continues, our family liaisons, that's the Chicago Police Department's family liaisons, will work with those families to provide information and updates throughout the investigative process.
At least 26 were shot and 5 killed unofficially in weekend violence across the city. Chicago sports, Bears over the Raiders 30-12. Blackhawks gave up 3 goals in the third in a weekend loss to Vegas. They take on the Bruins tomorrow night, while the Bulls open up the NBA regular season against OKC Wednesday and continue preparations today. The news, a service of Advanced Design Studio. Thinking of a home renovation but aren't sure where to begin? Check out Common Sense Remodeling with Advanced Design Studio. Online, advanceddesignstudio.com. A check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
Freedom Summit Chicago tickets are now on sale. Join AM 560, The Answer, on November 11th at the Westin Chicago Northwest for Freedom Summit, featuring Rand Paul, Judge Janine Pirro from Fox News, Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, Sean Thompson, and many more. Tickets are on sale now at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Best Dental Group of Bartlett, the Illinois Family Institute, and by Alpha Wealth Group.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
Hi, my name is Peg. I'm a wife, mother, and grandmother. Family is so important to me, and I want to stay healthy so that I can continue to do the things that I enjoy doing with all of them. I would recommend Balance of Nature. It's so easy to do every day. I feel great, and who doesn't want to feel great?
Start your journey to better health with Balance of Nature. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com to get 35% off your first preferred order with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this special offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Homeowners experiencing low water pressure, rusty yellow water, little to no hot water, or pressure so low that showering is difficult?
Honey, don't flush. I'm in the shower.
These are all symptoms of clogged and corroded galvanized water pipes that are filled with gunk older than you. You should see it. It's disgusting. You drink it, brush your teeth with it, and bathe in it. Yuck. For your family's sake, repipe your home with quality PEX or copper pipes from All Affordable Plumbing. We're your local, family-owned and operated repiping expert. We can repipe your home in 1 to 3 days with minimal disturbance, and we include a lifetime guarantee. And for a limited time, we're offering 12-month no-interest, no-payment financing and a free water heater. So if you have low water pressure, call for a free in-home estimate at 800-NEW-PIPE or visit allaffordable.org. That's 800-NEW-PIPE or visit allaffordable.org. If you have low water pressure, a copper repipe will get you flowing again. Call for a free estimate at 800-NEW-PIPE. That's 800-NEW-PIPE.
This hourly segment is brought to you by CharlesEquipment.com, keeping you powered up no matter what the conditions. CharlesEquipment.com.
8:37. Let's get an update on the roads. In our Team Hochberg Traffic Center, this news a service of Staples stores. Right now, you can count on every print project being perfect. Right now, get $100 off your print purchase of $250 or more. Offer ends 11/4. See staples.com/print for details. Eden's right now. A vehicle spun out on the inbound side just south of Dundee Road, 35 minutes from Lake Cook Road into the junction. Kennedy inbound is a mess. 76 O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike right now under an hour from 390 to the old post office. Stevenson inbound still with some gapers to the outbound mess, but only 43 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Outbound side remains shut down due to a much earlier accident near Harlem Avenue. You're diverted off at Central. Due to an accident on the inbound Dan Ryan, travel times are climbing. 35 into the Burns Circle interchange. The accident in the locals between Garfield and Roosevelt. Tri-State accident right shoulder. It's on the northbound side of 294 near the Stevenson. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Cloudy most of the day, but we'll see some spots of sunshine and then a chance of rain for the afternoon, high 64. A passing evening shower, otherwise cloudy and mild, 58, and a high near 78 tomorrow. 46 right now. Next news at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson. America First with Sebastian Gorka. Weekday afternoons at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So 3 weeks and no House Speaker. Does Matt Gaetz at this moment owe Republicans, not just in the House, but across the fruited plains, an apology? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. What does he need to apologize for, you ask? Well, how about starting a fire and hoping somebody else put it out? Is that responsible? Kevin McCarthy, the former House Speaker, whose name's still on the door, was on Meet the Press yesterday, and he had this to say about how we got here, in addition to offering his support for a particular replacement now that Jim Jordan's candidacy is by the boards.
Well, it's embarrassing, and you've got to understand why we are here. 8 Republicans, led by Gaetz, have created this chaos by joining every single Democrat in voting to shut down one branch of government. Look, I would do the exact same thing again. Could you imagine if we were having this discussion right now with the American government shut down, with our troops in the Middle East, wondering when they'll ever get paid again? Keeping the government open was the right decision to make, and I'd make it again each and every day. Now, the 2 men, Steve Scalise and Jim Jordan, they could have done the job as Speaker. Unfortunately, the chaos has continued. We need to solve this problem. We got a wide open southern border. We got crushing inflation. We got war in the Middle East. This is not a moment in time to play around with learning on the job. We need someone who understands how to do this job. I believe Tom Emmer, our whip, he's been in the room with all of our successes, from our bills to secure the border, from Parents' Bill of Rights, from cutting $2 trillion, getting work requirements. He knows how to do the job across the street at the same time, helping us win the majority. He sets himself head and shoulders above all those others who want to run. We need to get him elected this week and move on and bring this, not just party together, but focus on what this country needs most.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. They conference tonight and then vote tomorrow. Try it again, depending on who, well, regardless of who emerges as the nominee. We'll see, I guess, tonight, and then we'll try again tomorrow.
And Matt Gaetz, when Jim Jordan decided to drop out, he was quick to respond, saying, these people are. He didn't call them idiots, but he said, why wouldn't they vote for Jim Jordan? He's the obvious choice, but there was Republicans that don't like Jim Jordan. So what about, isn't one of your congressmen one of the 9 who want it now?
Byron Donalds, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like Byron.
Yeah. Any shot that he could get it? Because that would be a smart choice.
Matt Gaetz complaining about Jim Jordan and Steve Scalise. So yeah, I'd support Jim Jordan or Steve Scalise. He said at the time. Well, right. It doesn't work that way. You've got a group of 8, and you've got other factions within the caucus who are going to not look upon that kindly, that the group of 8 is going to decide who the next speaker is. And so now you have other people being petulant in response to your petulance. But it doesn't make either petulant group look good, because that's what it was, petulance. When you don't have a plan, a succession plan, and you don't have buy-in, that's not caucus leadership. That was exhibited by Matt Gaetz and those other 7. That's petulance. That's throwing a temper tantrum over your the ethics complaint that I guess you're upset Kevin McCarthy didn't make go away, or some disagreement about going to the mat on a continuing resolution to fund the government in these precarious times, as if there was going to be some paradigm-shifting moment where there was going to be real reduction in the size and scope and expense of government on this latest shutdown theater. It's absurd, and everyone knows it's absurd. Everyone knows it's not going to happen. You can make the arguments now, and you should make the arguments now, with the prospect that maybe someday, if you can convince enough of the public to elect majorities that are big enough and conservative enough in both the House and the Senate, and get a president in the White House who is similarly disposed, then you could do something that was of the watershed variety. Nothing watershed is going to happen in this environment, and I don't care if you make Tom Emmer, the House Speaker, or Donald Trump. It's not going to happen. So you have to operate on the landscape as it actually exists. And what has Matt Gaetz and those 8 accomplished with this 3 weeks of chaos, as McCarthy said, that was so easily predictable because there was no plan and because Matt Gaetz doesn't speak for but a very small percentage of the caucus. And by the way, if Matt Gaetz thinks this is a wonderful moment for him, it's not going to be a wonderful moment for him if he still has statewide aspirations in Florida to run for governor or follow DeSantis or something else. This is not a helpful moment. This is myopic. And most people don't respond to myopia. Most people say, you know what I like in a leader? Tunnel vision.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636, type in DA, then a quick comment. Our turnkey.pro text line is up and running.
Colleen in Wicker Park.
I'm so glad to get through to you. When the weekend comes, I start dreading it because I won't get to hear your words of wisdom. But I've got a couple of words that I did not come up with, but seem so applicable. We all sent these people there to do a very difficult job that was disturbing, but the right thing at the wrong time is no longer the right thing. That's number one. And number two, if you want to clean the stream, you have to stir up the bottom. And this is what we're seeing. And you're seeing this montage everywhere you go. Remember when Rush, made popular these montages of certain words like gravitas? Well, right now it's chaos. Everybody's loving, it's such chaos, we're all going to die. Well, yeah, it is, but it's probably going to happen that way no matter when it happens. But some of that's going to have to happen in the end. So it's never pretty while you're doing it, but it's the only way to get to the other side where you get some clear vision. Trump came to D.C., tells you why they hate him so much. He waded right into the stream and started sticking around, poking around, and stirring up all the scum that's on the bottom. And we're just seeing another personification of that sort of behavior.
Yeah,
we won't see the end of it for a long time.
Thanks for the call, Colleen. Yeah, there's something to that, but I don't know why there is this resistance to competence. You can stir up the bottom. You can take on the swamp. You can make the arguments that make people uncomfortable. But you also can do it in a way that is effective, where you advance the flag, not just wave it. A lot of people can wave a flag. It's a lot more complicated to advance it. And Trump made some missteps strategically in advancing the flags with respect to the arguments that he made or the bottom that he stirred up, to borrow from Colleen, where being a little bit more cagey could have produced better results. Perhaps even being a little bit more aggressive with recalcitrant Republicans like Paul Ryan at the time could have produced better results when it comes to things like how much the security at the border was actually enhanced. So you can both be a change agent, for lack of a better description. Maybe revolutionary is probably too strong. You can both be a change agent and you can be competent. The two are not mutually exclusive. You can be strategically shrewd. Dan and Wilmette, you're in Chicago's Morning Answer.
Dan, this is one of those times that someone stood up for something they actually said they were going to stand up for. And there's nothing wrong with that. This is going to be messy. Democracy is messy. But someone had to take this step at some point in time to convince those guys in Washington that there are people out there that really care about the deficit and being straight with the American people. And unfortunately, it's going to have repercussions. But those repercussions we're going to have to live with and work through. In the end, it'll be something worthwhile, no matter how it turns out.
All right. Thanks for the call, Dan. I don't see why having a succession plan that you get buy-in from your caucus mates was a bad approach. Maybe he couldn't get it done. If he couldn't get it done, maybe that should have told him something. Interesting letter that was written to the Republican caucus by a member of the Republican caucus, Jay French Hill, who's a congressman from Arkansas, and a sort of, one of the de facto historians within the caucus. He writes, during my nomination speech of McCarthy in January, I referenced the deeply divided, unhappy Republican conference of 1922 to 1925. With only 223 Republicans, a group of some 25 members periodically threatened conference procedure and from time to time voted with Democrats. That made organizing the conference and electing a speaker very challenging. Republican unity was in shambles at the time. Our predecessors of a century ago reasoned together to find a path forward, and today we must do the same. For failure to do so empowers Democrats, demoralizes our voters, and imperils our ability to retain our hard-earned majority in the People's House, to say nothing of our prospects of winning back the Senate and the White House. We are not a multi-block parliament. We're a constitutional republic with two dominant political parties. This means that we must come together for the sake of efficiency and restore and then guard our party discipline so we may deliver responsible policy outcomes that reflect our shared conservative principles. Not doing so will render us unable to exercise our majority. Failure is not an option. I mean, I think those are that's a sensible position to take. The historical precedent, I think, is useful, and it's sort of an admonishment of the Ken Bucks and the moderate Republicans in districts Biden won who are afraid of their shadows, as well as it is Gates and company. And he's right. There's going to have to be some give here. And if what happens is something akin to what I suggested would happen, was you're not going to get somebody more conservative than Kevin McCarthy, probably end up being Tom Emmer, as McCarthy endorsed, congressman from Minnesota, the whip. Then tell me again what exactly you accomplished. You, Gates, and those who support Gates told America there's some people who really care about the profligate spending in D.C. Yeah, people already knew that. It's not about that there's some people that care. It's about the some people who care. Can you put together the necessary governing coalition to actually translate your concern into policy? And right now the answer is no. And Gates's histrionics will have accomplished nothing in that direction. In fact, they probably will hurt the push in that direction. He certainly is not going to be an effective spokesman going forward, except to a very insular group of grassroots Republicans that do not have sway over most of that caucus, I'm telling you. Mike in Rutherford, Texas. Hey, Mike.
Hey, good morning.
Morning.
Not only do I think he owes an apology, he's owed a debt of thanks. I mean, here, listen, Dan. I've heard you talk about this in the past. I'm really surprised at you. Okay, if you want to know what happens to the Republican Party nationally, by moderating itself into oblivion and playing Charlie Brown when Lucy pulls the football every Thanksgiving, you look at the Illinois Republican Party, because that's where they're headed. That's what they did. They moderated themselves into uselessness. We've got Democrat and Democrat light. What's the difference? You know, Granger, my Congress creature, is a wholly owned subsidiary of Lockheed Martin Incorporated. Okay, she's exactly what Ike Eisenhower cautioned us about, the military-industrial complex, and that's who runs that swamp, including the Republican caucus. Okay, they're a bunch of morons. This needs to happen, Dan. Think about this. There's a context for everything, okay? JFK couldn't get elected as a Republican today. He was too conservative. That's how far to the left we've slid, including the swamp creature rhino scumbags on the Hill who've made that happen. They've sold us out. They're corporatists, Dan. We need to put a stop to it. We need to put that fire out. We need to stop the slide. So Getz is just a start. I don't care about Getz. As an individual, he just did what was right, what needed to happen. That's all.
Thanks for the call, Mike.
I mean, he didn't have a plan. I mean, as you said, he built on the bridge, but with no plan in place to rebuild that bridge.
Yeah, and I think it's a lot more complicated than, to suggest the House Republican caucus is a mirror image of the Illinois Republican Party. I mean, come on. Let's get a grip here. The Jim Jordans of the world, the Tom Masseys of the world, they would have no home in the Republican Party in Illinois, and that's a compliment to them. The Jim Comer, the work that's being done by a lot of House Republicans, Mike Johnson from Louisiana, I could go on. But to say that they're all swamp creatures or that they're all sort of giving in to moderation and the status quo, I don't think that's the case at all. I think there's a recognition about what the limits are of a slim majority in 1/2 of 1/3 of the government. Nate, Schiller Park.
Good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy. So I love everything you say, Dan and Amy, and you're right. Nobody did have a plan, but here's what I will say. It's okay to not have a plan. The one thing that we haven't done in the last 3 weeks is we haven't spent a single dollar of our taxpayers, not a single dollar. Nothing has been said.
The government's on autopilot. 80% of the government is on autopilot. The idea that we're not spending, I mean, come on.
No, that's true, Dan. But what we haven't done is we haven't spent more money than we've already spent. There's been no bill passed, and that's a good thing. That means we can't fund anything else right now, and we shouldn't fund anything until we can balance our budget across the board for everything. And you are absolutely right. There are so many good Republicans in the Republican Party. The problem is we have such a slim majority that unless we have a Speaker of the House that will absolutely shut down everything the Democrats want, all it takes is, 10 Republicans to vote with the Democrats, which has been continuously happening over the years. There's no unity in the Republican Party, and I think that's one of the biggest problems that we have, is there is no unity. I'll leave it at that. Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
Thanks, Nate. Well, I mean, I'd like unity around the failures of the left, and that's where the focus should be, because you're not going to – the idea that you're going to get the big spending Republicans in the minority go join with the majority of Democrats in the Senate and the White House and some of the squishy Republicans in the House, think that you're going to get them to truly balance the budget, like an honest, balanced budget, or to really cut government to reduce the $33 trillion, more like $150 trillion when you include unfunded liabilities and debt in the short term. That is just Pollyannish. That is not going to happen. There is no circumstance and no speaker under which that happens. When you have to, for example, pay military men and women when we're talking about sending Delta Force over to try to rescue hostages in Gaza, for goodness sakes. I mean, think about the optics of this for a second. Think about the immediate politics of this. And this is not expediency over principle. This is just pragmatism in furtherance of the bigger, better play when you have a more advantageous landscape. You think you can just say no more and nobody else gets to make a play. No, everybody else gets to make a play. And by the way, they outnumber you. Mike in Milwaukee.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. First of all, Dan, you asked about why we're afraid of competence. And I think on the left, there is no competence. The ideas that they've voiced have no competency. They cannot work. So our side always buckles to them. As for Nate, who's just talking, did he not hear President Puddingcup's speech this week? We're still spending. He's just spending without authority. And lastly, I got my picture taken with the Oscar Mayer mobile yesterday, and the guy driving it didn't know that. I'm sorry?
Oh, I said that's a big day for you. Good job.
It was in Oconomowoc, and I was talking to the driver, and he wasn't aware that Paul Ryan used to drive the mobile.
Yes. It comes from a long line of successful Wienermobile drivers. Hey, maybe this guy could be speaker. Tell him to put his hat in the ring.
Competency.
Thanks for the call, Mike. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
The following is not an actor, but a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
I'm Corey, and this is my story. I was going through some financial troubles paying off my credit cards. I was paying high interest rates, and it just wasn't getting any better. And I knew I had to do something. So my mom told me about Trinity, and so I decided to call. Trinity was able to do something that I couldn't. I'm paying off my debt. I'm saving thousands, and things are really looking up. I promise you guys, you will not regret it when you call Trinity, because it was such a relief and less stress in my life, and it was the best thing I could have done for myself, because once I called Trinity, they took care of me, and I felt such a relief, a weight off my shoulders. Trinity was great to work with. They wanted to help me. I love it.
If you're in debt and you need help, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
I'm Corey, and I'm debt-free for keeps.
1-800-990-6976.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right. Thanks so much for making us part of your morning, part of your lives. Thanks to Justin Kosick. We're so glad to have you back from your honeymoon. And thanks to Quinn McCarthy. We're back here bright and early tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. Now, let's head straight into that newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
One in custody after incidents near Israel rallies. Several robberies reported in 30 minutes on the north side of Chicago. The veto session begins this week in Springfield. What's on tap? Rookie quarterback Tyson Bagent leads the Bears to their first home win. Cloudy today, high of 64. WIND, Chicago News Time 9.
More than 5,000 Palestinians dead. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. That's the new report from the health ministry in Gaza of the number of people killed in Israeli strikes since Hamas terrorists killed more than 1,400 people in Israel October 7th. In addition to more airstrikes, the Israeli military is conducting limited raids in Gaza.
Each and every day, the Israelis are getting more information, but they are receiving outside pressure from the Americans and other regional parties about delaying the ground operation. There's an understanding that once Israel goes into Gaza, there will be bloody street-to-street fighting, and any sort of diplomatic conversations that are taking place, trying to get hostages free, will freeze. They'll stop altogether because the focus will be on the ground operation. And so the Americans are trying to ensure they can get U.S. citizens who are being held hostage out, and also the hundreds of foreign nationals that weren't taken hostage but are currently trapped inside Gaza, try to get them into Egypt. So it's a very fluid situation with a lot of moving parts, a lot of parties involved, and the Israelis so far have delayed that operation despite staging thousands of soldiers here along the border.
Fox's Trey Yingst in southern Israel. House Republicans here at a closed-door forum this evening from 9 candidates for House Speaker. They're starting the nominating process over with neither nominee so far, Steve Scalise or Jim Jordan, able to win enough Republican support to be elected. The Philippines accuses the Chinese Coast Guard of blocking and colliding with 2 of its ships on a naval resupply mission in the South China Sea.
No injuries have been reported, but the move has led the U.S. to say it will defend the Philippines if there's an attack. The U.S. has already sent ships to the region for protection, which has angered Beijing. Under the 1951 Mutual Defense Treaty, the U.S. and other allies are committed to step in if there's any violence against Filipino forces.
Fox's